Hello, everyone. Hello, it is I, Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. And, hold on, I need to turn that down. It doesn't need to be so loud. Ah, much better. And it's Saturday, and we're playing the Outer Worlds, which means we're actually just kind of here to talk about stuff. I mean, we're going to play the Outer Worlds as well. I mean, that is going to happen. But I have things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Tunnels and Trolls, which we finished up, last night, and I want to talk about how we're doing the RuneQuest solo quest on Friday, which is the last week of September. You know, big deal. And RQ Stefan, I'm so glad you're here. I wanted to chat with you. Actually, I had some thoughts about Tunnels and Trolls, and I was like, oh, I hope I get to share them and hear RQ Stefan's thoughts as well, because I'm very excited by that. Hello, lol and kayfabe. I turned down the music because it started off loud because of player chat last night. Let's see. I'm amazed at how stupid old media thinks we are. How many experts do they think are needed to make people wear more clothes when it is winter and cold? No. Next Friday we have got Going Solo. This coming Friday is Going Solo. We're playing RuneQuest. I'm doing the RuneQuest solo quest, and I made sure I had it so I could play it, right? So to finish that thought. Baron Torcio, by the way, hi everybody. How are you? So, Bax Rider, hey everyone. It's so good to see you all. And I think our volume's down at a normal spot. Look, there are a couple things going on, and one of those things is we're playing the Outer Worlds, theoretically. There's so many things I want to share with you all. It's kind of insane, now that I think about it. There's a lot. Oh! Hey, everybody. So, let's go in order. No, let's just go in whatever order. Hey, Chromatic, theoretically. So, I have been going through a process of migrating things over to try to help my computer be better, and all of that. And so what I did for yesterday, and it's technically still happening today, you might notice that my follower and subscriber count look a little bit different, and the reason why that is because I've swapped from Streamlabs to Stream Elements for my alerts, and the thing about that is I don't know how I feel about it completely just yet. And one thing I've got to figure out how to do it, is that when I was using Streamlabs, I would have I had a little separate window which had all the events that happened. So if there were any events that happened, I could just look at it and be like, we got this thing, and I don't have that at the moment, and I need it. So I've got to figure out how to get that in Stream Elements, because it's a thing that I want, so that I can just very quickly look through and see who said what and be like, oh, that's a thing, and I don't have it. And I figure there must be a way to do it in a way that I don't need it on screen. I just want it somewhere where I can see it. So I've got to figure that out. That's the thing I have to do. Vola said, well, 70s people had a trend to wear Canadian sneakers at midwinter. Yeah, so the thing is, Volus is correct, Ice Bunny. You have no idea how many people I see being underdressed all the time. You might think that nobody needs to be told to wear more clothing, but you would be surprised. I'm on a college campus where it snows in the winter, and Friday and Saturday nights you still see people wearing inappropriately small amounts of clothing because they're going to a party, and apparently they want to go to the party with hypothermia. Or frostbite. It's unclear. That's all. I just did some reading about the health stuff my mom is going through. I'm frustrated on the 12th just to go to the specialist and get a 24-hour EKG done. Well, the thing is, Ice Bunny, getting tests helps you know what's going on. When you know what's going on, it means that you do the good. Like, not getting the test is no good. If you get the test, then you can rule out some things, add in other things, then you can find out what's going on, and then you can help take care of it, and that's good. Arcu says, it feels like you'd not be alone in that need. Let's see. Master says, I'm working on a rough table of contents list of all my role-playing journals in what binder? There are many. Ooh, nice. Speaking of which, I've got things I'm gonna, yeah. Hypothermia parties are pretty popular, I understand. I'm just saying. RQ says, memories of the 2 a.m. nightclub queues in Toronto in November. This is what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm sitting there, a lot of people are like, I don't want to look not good, and then they just are wearing things. You're like, what do you... Ooh. Frostbite. DSB says, meanwhile in San Francisco, people are bundling up in full-on heavy winter coats when it dips below 60 degrees. Look, there are reasons for that. Javai says, to be fair, I don't think any amount of expert opinion is likely to fix people being underdressed in the winter. Vola says, parties usually has whiskey to keep people warm. Max is like, I never waited in line for a bar because that's because Max is a VIP. When Max approaches the line, people are like, oh, come on in, Mr. Ryder. I'm just saying that Max Ryder was the one who never had to wait to get into Studio 54. It is known. Like, Max Ryder would walk up to Studio 54 and they'd be like, Cher, you're not coming in. Max Ryder, come on in. Like, it's a true fact. Everybody knows it. Ice Blue says, I'm just frustrated that it's not happening. Rissa says, can I get a name game? I did my... Oh, of course you can, Rissa. See, this is part of my frustration about not having these notifications the way I used to. But here's the thing. If I can get this all done if I can get this done the way that will work for me, then I can leave Streamlabs and just move to Stream Elements for all that stuff. And, Streamlabs is a little sketch. You know what I mean? Just a little sketch. They've done some stuff that people have not been really particularly excited about, and I feel like it would be kind of nice to be able to sort of migrate over. I just need to get the things that I want. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, there are things that I want in my life, and I would like to have them. I do not currently have them. So this is just like a thing I'm trying to work through at the moment. That's what big fancy coats are for. Hawkeye says, I never waited in line to get to a bar. Then again, I don't go to bars. So there's that. Again, Hawkeye, never had to wait. VIP, just like zooming right through. Rebecca's like, I wear very little clothing in the cold. This is what I'm saying. I use Stream Elements for your alert, says Hawkeye. Okay, so the thing is, I'm now currently using Stream Elements for my alerts. This is currently what's happening that you're seeing. But when I was using Streamlabs Stream Labels, I had a window that had all the events that happened that you could not see, but I could just, because I don't want it like cluttering up the window for you all, right? But I could see it. I had a little window where I could see like, oh, this is just what happened. So for example, when we get to intermission in an RPG show, I can just look to see if we had any tips or bits, and I can read them out. So they're all just right there for me. But I have to figure out how to do this in Stream Elements, because if I don't get to see, when like tips or bits or messages come in special, and you can't really check from chat. Chat's like, it's okay, but maybe not the best. So I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do it. Like, for example, we got, I wonder if, I might be able to do this. This might work. Maybe I can pull out my Twitch activity feed and put it into OBS. Maybe. We'll see. I have to experiment because I don't like not having... No, that's the thing. There you go. That's the thing. The Twitch activity feed does not have tips. It only has bits. So I'm going to have to have... I'm going to have to look at something different. I'm going to have to figure this out. Or else I won't, have to figure it out. That's the thing. Okay. Patience isn't the ability to wait, but the ability to remain peaceful while waiting. Ooh, PH, that's good. But we should have surveyed the Discord. Maybe. We'll see. Install Stream Elements live to OBS. It will give a window for that. Oh. Okay. So, Hawkeye says I should install Stream Elements live to OBS. Okay. That's what I'm exploring today. Thank you. Hey, Schmelzer. Okay. So I talked about that. Now, I have more things to talk about, but what I'm going to do, because I feel like we should. Want to remember something? Write it down. We're gonna play some Outer Worlds while we talk about all of the things to talk about, because there are many things to talk about, and I'm very excited about them. Theoretically. Yeah, and right now, and lose the notepad. I spent my day going door to door asking people if they had any issues with the city should know about in their neighborhood. Good day. Oh, PH. Hey, PH. PH, I have a question for you. PH, would you like run for like city council? This is my question for you. Like, would you run for city council? Because I really feel like you'd be the kind of person that I would like to have be on my city council. Like, and I say this based on like knowing you for a couple of years and seeing the things that you do. You know what I mean, for your community. I just feel like if I could vote for someone to be on my city council, I would vote for you to. So I feel like you would be a very good city council person. That is my current thought. PH says maybe in a year or two. All right, because you're the kind of person I was like, yeah, I would like PH representing my neighborhood on the city council. So I just wanted to tell you I cannot vote in your country because I don't live there. Uh, but if I could, I would vote for you. Be on my city council, represent my neighborhood. I just want to say it. Hey, Atomica. Uh, how is your nose doing, PH? He is literally running for city council, Jabro. Literally running. Uh, you appreciate the vote of confidence. I would do it, yeah. Cormac Comedian says, I'm thinking about it for the Portland, Vancouver area. Fight for rent issues. Oh, that would be amazing. That'd be wonderful. Halcyon Nights, the sequel to Atlanta Nights. Oh, gosh. Y'all, so I have so many things I want to share with you and talk to you about. First is we're gonna be doing RuneQuest, and what's interesting is like RuneQuest again, one of these first decades, one of the games from the first decades of RPGs. So first decade of RPGs, 74 to 84, right? Let's put that in your mind. So like D&D to Paranoia, that sort of era, and RuneQuest's good old G RPG. And what's interesting is that I think back in the day, I think I played Tunnels and Trolls maybe once, but I played quite a bit of RuneQuest um, back in the day because that Call of Cthulhu group that I told you about, the one that like kept me in the hobby, uh, that was like a husband and wife team, Jan and Chaz Ingen, who wrote Beyond the Mountains of Madness, and Jan, she GM'd Call of Cthulhu, and Chaz, he was GMing a RuneQuest, and I remember I was playing in both, and I remember I had my character. I played a character who was a human blacksmith. Dang, man. Sorry, I'm just thinking about RuneQuest and how great it is. Um, it wasn't set in Glorantha. It was like it was a homebrew world. But I remember like there's these certain things you remember when I I statement. There are certain things I remember as a player coming out of D&D. And it wasn't like I'd played D&D for 10 years. I was playing D&D and then I was like, I need to play other games or I'm going to die. Although I always did play other games. That would be a lie. But I mean long term. Like I was in groups back then who mostly played D&D, and then every once in a while we'd play like Marvel superheroes, DC superheroes. Like we would play other games like as little short shots, but it was mostly just all D&D, and I was not loving my life. And finding this other group was great because then I was actually able to play long-term campaigns in other systems, and that really was important to me. Do I put the RPG where everyone is a teddy bear? They're not teddy bears. I think they're actual bears. Like Honey Heist, actual bears, full-on bears. Um, yes, full-on bears. Oh, Atomica, I see you. I just see you. Also, I have a name game. I need to be reminded that. So I want to say something about RuneQuest and then also Tunnels and Trolls. I have both RuneQuest and Tunnels and Trolls things. Don't let me forget. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I don't want to forget, so that I don't forget it, and then I'm going to sing. So you have to remind me back. So Tunnels and Trolls, math. Tunnels and Trolls math. Tunnels and Trolls math. Tunnels and Trolls character sheet. Those are the two things. Math, character sheet, and then like just generally speaking what happened. But no spoilers. And then RuneQuest experience, like going from D&D to RuneQuest back in the early. and then OSR. Those are the things. Those 3 topics. I will talk about other things, but those are the 3 things I don't want to forget right off the top of my head. Okay. RuneQuest is great. Yes. Tommy says, Trooper has things to tell us. I sure have nothing against the way of him telling us. I see the bits. I see them. The thing is, okay, here's a question. Did you see the alert come up? Did you see the alert show up, though? That's my question. Hey, this is my important question for you all. An alert should show up on the screen. And so you did not... Really? You didn't see one? Okay. That's interesting. Well, hold on. I'm gonna sing, but you just saw the chat message. No, that's not what... Hold on. Let's see. Okay, the alert showed up on screen, but no sound. Okay. Okay, so it did show up on screen. Good. Okay. So at least that part is working. Good. Okay. Right below. Okay, great. This is good. So there are things that I need to figure out how to do with Stream Elements. And that is with Streamlabs, I had multiple different alert configurations. You know, I had one for if I'm doing RPGs, one for if I'm doing my regular game stream, a special one if I was doing like Simply Divine. I would make custom alert schemes, and then I would just activate one or the other. And with Stream Elements, I'm not certain the best way to do that. You know what I mean? So I'll just figure it out. We're working on upgrading what you see here, and yes, we're working on it. We're working on it. Okay, so the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say Bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a F, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Rissa, bobissa, banana, fanna, fofissa, fee, fi, mo, missa. Rissa, the name game. Thank you for that resub, Rissa. I wonder if I can find you in here and see what you said. Yes, I see you right there. 41 months, Rissa. It's a long time. It's a long time. I mean, I've known you way longer. I've known you for 20 years, maybe? About-ish? Around 20 years? Nice. Okay. A friend who extensively ran 3rd edition D&D a dozen or more years ago is working towards finally finishing our campaign. Woo! Here's the thing, y'all. Yeah, it was early 2000s, right? But I don't remember. It was like early 2000s, so we're around 20 years. Y'all, Riss and I, nope, that's a distraction. That's a distraction. I'm going to talk about it, but we just got a donation from Atomica, who wants me distracted from talking about things. So I don't know why. And so what he did was he donated some bits. And on this channel, when people donate bits or tips, and really, I need to sort of figure out, I need to figure that out, because I do not think I'm going to work it out. Don't worry about it. I'm going to work it out. It'll be fine. I'm going to work out how to get this done the way I want to get it done, and then I'll have all the things I need. But the point is, when we get bits or tips on this channel, I sing. Because actually, really, when anything really triggers, I'm going to sing. It's a thing. I just need an excuse to sing. And but we sing We're in the Money, and I know that Atomica is donating so that I do not, so I get distracted from talking. So what I will do in this moment is talk about the thing that I'm going to be using to distract myself from talking. Uh, so uh, the song is "We're in the Money," which was originally from the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which was one of these. There's a bunch of like behind the stage, backstage musicals, film musicals. In the, you remember, talkies only starts like, so we got our first talking film in 1929. For 1929, all silent films. And in 1929, we have the very first talkie, which is the jazz singer Al Jolson. Now, it's important to note that we did have films that did have sound and talking in it before the jazz singer, but they didn't really count because they would come with records, and they were usually very short, right? They were usually like 15-minute shorts or whatever. And you would when you're in the movie theater, you would get the film, and then you get a record, and you're supposed to basically put the record on your record player, play the film, and then play the record player and the film at the same time. And if you lined it up right, then you could hear people speaking. Like it was not really, the sound was not baked into the film. But anyway, so when you have the jazz singer in 1929, you start getting these. One of the first things they do to sort of capitalize on the new thing would be a lot of musicals. A lot of, like, at very early moment, there were a lot of musicals, and this one, Gold Diggers 1933, is one of those musicals. And these Gold Diggers and Broadway Melody had like a series. Like there's Broadway Melody of 1929, Broadway Melody of 1935, Broadway Melody of 1937, Gold Diggers of 33, Gold Diggers da da da. Right. So like there was like a number of these films, and this one, Gold Diggers 1933. A lot of these films, the plot of which was basically people in the middle of the Depression who want to become stars, who have no money, who are like super poor, out of work actors and dancers who want to become stars, and that's usually the plot of these films. So in Gold Diggers 1933, it starts off, remember 33, Big Depression, right? Starts off with this amazing glittery number. And the first number you see in the film Gold Diggers 1933 is We're in the Money. And it's sung by Ginger Rogers. And you see this, it's like Busby Berkeley does all the choreography. So it's this huge kick line dancers and all geometric shapes and all sorts of like, it's all this like pageantry. And then at the end of the number, somebody calls stop, stop, stop. And you see that they're on a Broadway stage and all the creditors have come, and the creditors take all of their money because they take everything, all the costumes, because they have no money, right? That's the whole, it's like, it's a satire. Like We're in the Money it's not. Anyway, point B, that she sings it in Pig Latin. She sings it mostly in English, and then she does this little bit in Pig Latin. And I am going to sing that bit in Pig Latin because Ginger Rogers is amazing. And so Atomica wanted to distract me from talking, but he just distracted me to talk about a new thing. Atomica, thank you. And so, Earway and hey, the anime. Earway and hey, the anime. Earway at gale at way at way at wakes to utate gale ang way. Earway and hey, the anime. Either I skates or ani say. Old me and the adiation pray, we are a woo, pray you stay on way hungry. Ewe every id red lands lay, of way at brands lay, day. And we see the Hanley order will look left the eye gay right in the eye. We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Ooh, I sounded like the Pillsbury Doughboy when you poke him. Like you did that little kind of like a. Thank you, Atomica, and thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. Yay! So let's see. 20 years is a long time. It is nearly half our lives, which is wild. This is true. That's true, actually. Peach says, when I'm in the middle of a Great Depression, I can't even get out of bed. I applaud these people still trying to become stars. Yes, PH. DSP says, Rissa, I have a friend who I've known for 22 years because we met on the first day of kindergarten. Wow. Which basically is my entire life for all intents and purposes. Which is insane. I've got friends that I've known since kindergarten still. And one of my friends, her birthday is coming up in the next couple of days. Remember. Rissa says, I have a friend I've known since 8th grade who's practically a sister, I'm still in touch with. Old friends, the best friends. Welcome back. Oh my God, I just sang the name. We're in the money. You missed it. Missed it. So yes, we did that. I have things I want to talk about. Tunnels and Trolls, RuneQuest, and something else. Rissa. Tunnels and Trolls, RuneQuest, Rissa. Those are the three things I want to talk about. DSB says, this friend might be the only one whose birthday I know by heart because our friendship predates Facebook and none of my other friendships do. Yes. Yes. Old people? Do you remember your home telephone number from when you were a kid? 415. Ooh. Okay, I have more than one phone number. I said my San Francisco 510 510-562-0664. That was my phone number in Oakland. When I was we moved to Oakland when I was in the middle of sophomore year. I don't live there anymore, of course, right? But that was my Oakland phone number, my home phone number in Oakland. 510-562-0664. That was it. And my San Francisco phone number, where I lived when I was between 5 and 14, was a 415 number. It was like 415. Oh, I don't think I remember that one though. But I remember my home phone number from when I was in high school. Do you remember your phone numbers? That's my question. Ooh, yes. Okay, I got some phone numbers. Yes, all right. Woo! I got some people who remember their phone numbers in there. Yeah. Yep, because it was the only one my parents had until 2018. Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm seeing some European numbers there. I'm very excited. Can't remember the area code, but it was in Northwest Ohio. I wouldn't if I didn't have a horrible number memory. It's fair, you would. Peach is like, I don't even remember my current phone number. What? Thomas, I'm horrible with birthdays. I don't even know my own mother's, but do you know your own birthday? I sometimes forget. Max says, we moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina, 75. That was 488-32-3527. Nice. I love that. I love that, y'all. There is a movie. I know this is a distraction from the thing I was going to talk about, but I will. There was a movie which I did not see. I think it was called Cellular. I think Ryan Reynolds was in it, perhaps. It may not have been Cellular. I don't think it was Cellular. I think it was a different one. Anyway, the point is that he was a contractor, and he got kidnapped and dropped in a coffin, and he was buried alive. And he was buried alive in a coffin by, I don't know, terrorists? I don't know. Anyway, he was stuck with a cell phone. They put a cell phone in there, like a burner phone, but not his cell phone, just some kind of random cell phone in this box. And he could not remember any phone numbers because all the phone numbers were always programmed into his personal cell phone. So he could not call anyone to get out of the box because they didn't know any phone numbers. And I thought about that. I thought, well, if I were trapped, buried alive in a coffin, could I call people? And at this moment, I think the answer would be no. I know my telephone number by heart. One of my good best friends. I don't think I know anybody's phone number by heart at this point in time. And so I also would be trapped, buried alive inside of a coffin. I don't know why he just didn't dial. Oh, I know why he didn't dial 911. He didn't dial 911 because he wasn't in the United States, or 999 if you're in Europe. He was buried somewhere else, and I don't think he knew what the emergency number is. But I mean, yeah. Anyway, can like dial 0 for operator? I don't know. Anyway, that was he was off some. Anyway, thought experiment for the day. In middle school, I once gave out self-made invites that had me turning the wrong age. Hey, you know what? I sometimes forget it's my birthday. Schmelzer's like, I also remember at least 2 friends' phone numbers. See, Schmelzer would not be trapped, buried alive in a coffin because Schmelzer would remember people's phone numbers. I should do that. To be fair, when I was young, I didn't know about national codes. Yeah, he wasn't. The thing is, 911 is not in every country. I think it's in very few. It's a U.S. number, and he was not in the U.S. He was off somewhere random. When I worked for the paper, I knew the backdoor number for the sheriff's office and county communications office by heart. Nice. Hey, Escape, how are you? Happy time zones. My wife's number is the only one away from my own, so it's easy to remember. Oh, only one away? Yeah. Will 911 work in Canada? I don't know. Canadians? Does anybody know? I would like to know this. Uh, DSB says, oh, when phone numbers are too close together, I get them really confused. There. 11811 hello directory inquiries. We had 411, but I don't know if 411 still works. It must still work, right? Do you remember there was 411 in the US is for telephone numbers, but I don't know if you remember this one, and I don't even know if it still works. Now I'm really tempted to find my phone and call this number to see if it works. Back in the day, there was a phone number in the United States, and that phone number was popcorn. You spelled out popcorn on your phone, it would give you the time. So POPCORN, and it would give you what the time was. Like, you know, the time is 4 p.m. and 15 seconds. At the time of the beep, when the beep sounds, it will be 4 p.m. and 15 seconds. Beep. At the time of the beep, it'll be 4 p.m. and 30 seconds. Beep. Right? And that was all it was the entire time. So you could coordinate times. I imagine popcorn does not exist. Maybe it does. I have no idea. I've not tried to call popcorn in a while. Right? But so you could all coordinate. Yeah. True. Rissa just asked. Yes, Rissa, I do remember. Yeah, see, we're on the same page. My phone number after the area code is 641. My mom's was 461, and the number of times I confuse them when telling people, they closed that last December in Denmark. Oh, I don't even know if it still exists in the United States, actually. I have no idea. Jabai says, is it just a myth or something? But I seem to recall that some countries have other emergency numbers direct to the local one. Like 911 would still work, even if not the right number for your location. I don't know if that is a myth, Shabai, but I have heard that it is a problem that in some places it is a problem that other people in other countries, people will dial 911 for emergency because they've seen it on movies when 911 is not their emergency number. So I've heard that is a thing. So I don't know if they actually did a redirect, but right. Yes. And I'm trying to remember what the UK speaking clock was. Oh, that's a good one to know. There, finished the contents page. Now I need to figure out what to do with it. Frame it? Baron Tor reminds you of movie. Oh, movie phone. I remember movie phone, yeah. At the third beep, it will be 4 o'clock precisely. Yes. I had a rotary phone too. Hescape 999 is UK. I knew that 999 was the UK. I knew that one. Useful info. If in Europe and you don't know what number to call, always call 112. 112 is the Europe emergency number. It will always put you through the right department. Oh, I didn't know that. See, now I know. They made a joke about rotary phones in the new Minions movie. Really? So here's the thing about rotary phones. I always loved them. Like, I always loved rotary phones as a kid because of the sound, the rhythmic sound, right? Because when you did it, it'd be like, but a 1 has a different length of time versus a 9. So if you had like a number that was, so 5620664, right, would be right, like, and you'd get the difference between like the 9 and the 1. Like, and whenever you get a phone number that like would have like a 9 and a 1 next to each other was always so cool to me because like the difference in the rhythm, like, and also the feeling, the difference in the feeling. I know some people must be really frustrated by the 9s and the 7s and the 8s because they're so long, but with the 9s and 7s and 8s, you really get to loop your finger around the rotary in a really cool way. And I loved going from like a really like long loop to a really short loop. Just the sort of like the kinetic feel, but also the sound. I really enjoyed that, and I understand it made dialing not fast, but it didn't seem unfast at the time, so we didn't have something faster, if you know what I mean. What I'm saying. I'm probably going to stream until what? I don't know, 3:30 probably. 3:30. Yeah. We're old. I was looking for a portable DVD player in a shop in Denmark for just in case the power goes off. Mm-hmm. Max says, I love them too. I have a candlestick rotary phone. So do you really? Ooh, I want one. But I don't know what I'd have when I don't have a landline. I don't know what I'm doing. But it's a knockoff Mason 20. Yeah, it's fair. Let's see. I love the sound of rotary phones, even though I never had one in my house. Yeah, I love the sound of rotary phones. Uh, Chromatic's like, I was scared of these. For us, I think the number for time was 5551212. Really? Okay. I thought that 555 were fake numbers for like movies. Ice Bunny says, I explained to my niece how rotary phones work, but first I had fun watching her try. 3:30 is when I start streaming. Oh, great. Perfect. It's so interesting how you think about that, because I'm sort of a rhythmic understanding of numbers. It's more related to the shape of the number. Oh, that's interesting. And the name of the number. So 7 in particular is fun for me. Nice. But you have it tied to timing, and that's super interesting. But that's only when we're talking about rotary phones, right? For me, that's a very specific rotary phone situation. I think with other numbers, I have a different sort of sense of rhythm with them. But like with rotary phones, because it has like a rhythm built into it, you know? Yeah, I feel like 555 are for fake numbers. Time of gifts. British Telecom's ad tagline during the 80s was, the power behind the button. Oh, as my family had a dial phone, I swear I couldn't understand what buttons had to do with phones. Nice. Yeah. Max Ray says, yeah, we have a landline. I like having a landline, especially here in the mountains. Absolutely. If our internet goes out, our cell phones get no signal. Right. But I currently live in a dorm, so, but maybe one day I'll have a landline again. Y'all, I have so many things to share with you. So, but we've got to read this last, we're reading the logs of the customer service people, and we've got to read the last one. Oh, personal message. Files located. Tech support would like to remind all employees that this is not the messenger menu. Right, okay. Character form, Halcyon Hank. This person likes cereals. Name, Halcyon Hank. Class upper. Location, free market champion. Backstory. Halcyon Hank is the long-lost half-brother of Halcyon Helen. At the age of 7, he saved his family from a pirate attack, but he had to leave the ship in a separate escape pod. While the rest of his family was rescued by a passing patrol, Hank's escape pod was landed on Monarch, and he had to survive in the wild. Raised among raptidons, he foiled numerous schemes concocted by the cannibalistic iconoclasts who were trying to spread their listless, dependent way of life across the colony. Now he's finally made it off Monarch and is ready to save Halcyon from insert whoever Sally makes as the villain here. Addendum. Ask Sally if Sally can make a supporting character that's Hank's love interest. She promised that she would last time. Oh, friends are RPing. We've got friends RPing. Very excited. I wish I knew what Sally had to do. Messages. From S. Garcia to H. Putnam canceling our session. Somebody's doing tabletop RPGs in our video game. Harold just sent management my cancellation form regarding our systems and serfdom sessions. I've been told I won't receive a refund on the leisure time I purchased for our group. I'll handle the cancellation fees too. Let's not talk about what happened with Colin at the last session. Let's not talk about Colin at all. Not to management, not to medical either. You need something for the injury? I'll see about getting you some tea. Hey, they play systems and serfdom. That sounds like a fun game. I feel like they probably play it differently than I would play it. That's my gut feeling here. My gut feeling. I also feel like we are supposed to be going here into HR and accounting, right? But then there's also, let me see, I have to orient myself is what I have to do. I feel like this is the way we came in. Maybe. Perhaps. I also feel like it's not. I feel like we actually came in this way. Yes, so we came in this way, right? So this is the way we came in. This is our by the way, once we get ourselves situated, then I've got so many things. Yeah, we came in this way. We came in this way. We've just done a whole loop around the entire inner structure. So we've not missed anything on the inside. So we have basically two different ways we can go from here. Where do we go from here? We can go through this door probably and that one, but this door is probably locked. But we can but we have to eat food. So we're going to food. We're going to pick this lock. Then we're going to talk about the tunnels and trolls and the rune quest and Rissa. Well, Benjamin Space. Herbs. Yeah, cell phone. Sounds like an offshoot of pencils and paychecks. Yeah. Cell phone signal carrier is different from Wi-Fi signal. but often an emergency situation means the phone lines get overloaded because everyone's trying to make calls at the same time. Yeah. I did. I did. Oh, you got your absentee ballot? Oh, nice. Nice. Okay, so here's what's what, y'all. I want to talk about Tumbles and Trolls first. Oh, it looks like I do not have the required amount of lock picking to get through there. That's okay. We'll go through here. We'll find a way around. It'll be fine. It'll be. Hey, Aximilian. Hey, Ax. How are you? It is good to see you. It's been a while. It is nice to see you. Hello. Hello. Did you ever get the opportunity to enjoy an Autobahn trip, traveling on a sketchy VW Bug or Eastern European car? I never got to go on any like good Autobahn trips, but I drove the Autobahn because I taught English as a second language through the In Lingua Sprachschule, which meant that I was driving to companies, and so I got to drive through some beautiful parts of Bavaria, like well, this is the cafeteria. We're gonna go in here and have some fighting. But we should probably do that. Yeah, so I remember driving through, like, basically driving through Bavaria for to get to wherever I was teaching, and we would drive to, like, I would drive. Oh, whoa! I just killed that guy. Oh, hey, hi, how are you doing? Uh, we're gonna kill some people. But I remember driving through like parts of Bavaria, and what I want to say is hi Vicar Max. Look, Bavaria is beautiful. Bavaria is like a super super beautiful part of Germany. It is gorgeous, and there are parts of Bavaria that are just really really beautiful. And I got to travel through parts of the country that were. We're gonna just kill that person too. It's cool. Um, Also, some of you should use your special powers, right? Oh, hey, Vicar Max. Oh, hi. I actually don't think I needed that because I was doing pretty well, but I just wasted Adrena time. It's fine. Um, but like we got to go through. I was teaching near Harburg, which has its has the complete has a complete people are going to call it a castle, but it's really a fort, right? It has a complete fort still with the full city walls. So I got to go to some of these like kind of like slightly small towns in Bavaria with just like really beautiful, really pretty. And so I was driving a lot in like in kind of the middle of nowhere Bavaria, uh, and like so you go on the autobahn and then I'd hit these like little small roads and it was look, I cannot speak to all the parts of Germany because I have not lived in all the parts of Germany, but I have lived in Bavaria, and I will tell you what, Bavaria is beautiful. I've been to some other parts of Germany that were not Bavaria that were also beautiful. I'm not saying that other parts of Germany are not beautiful. It's just that I went to Freiburg. That was a very beautiful town. Um, so I'm not talking smack about any other parts of Germany besides Bavaria. I'm not. I'm just saying that like parts of rural Bavaria. Oh man, I went to go to Passau. I had a friend in Passau. We went to Passau and uh, so Passau is known as the Three River City. If you don't know Passau, and Passau is oh man, so it's called the Three River Cities because Passau is where like right in front of the old city, the city hall, which is like from the medieval era, I suppose, is where three rivers meet. These three rivers join together right there next to the city hall, and the three rivers are the Inn, the Elbe, and the Danube. But why it's so cool is not just that these three rivers meet at the right there at that moment, is that each of the three rivers has a different color. They're different colors, right? Um, why are we having a gunfight? Is there a reason why we're having a gunfight? Like I'm not okay. Oh, are you gonna just get into a gunfight? Are Vicar Max? Why? Oh well, apparently it's gonna be like gunfight o'clock is what's happening right now. If you'll excuse me. So there's that. If you know that piece by uh uh you know the piece by um what's his name? Oh, come on. You know his name. Strauss. The Blue Danube Waltz, right? You know it. Right, yeah. You know it. So that's the Blue Dan. Oh, hey, Sam. That's the Blue Danube Waltz. But here's what's important about this story. Getting all distracted. Oh, hi. Hi. What's important about this story, by the way, is that the Danube actually is blue. That's the cool thing about it. It's like this brilliant blue color. Also, I clearly need to have a slightly different weapon here. It's this brilliant blue color. And, oh, excuse me. Oh, hey, excuse me. I'm getting shot. We need things going on. I just died. I just died, everybody. I was getting distracted. Now we have to. Oh, sorry about that. Just died. This is what happens when I don't check chat and distract myself. But the Danube is this brilliant blue color. It's brilliant blue. And I can't remember which one is which, but either the in or the elbow is like a chalky green, like a milky green. The other one's like a deep green. And so right there at the city hall, you can see these three rivers all joining. You see the colors of the three rivers all meeting up, and it is it's really beautiful. Also, it is good to know that we don't have to go through all the way back. So that's good. Now I'm going to check chat because I feel like it's been too long since I've checked chat, and now I feel guilty. And so we're going to check chat because I want to know what you have to say. And I realize that none of this has to do with controls or also, or yeah, I get it. But now I'm going to just maneuver around so I don't forget anything. So I have it something and then check what I say. And also, we've got to watch out for Vicar Max. He's going to go cause trouble. Okay. Yes. 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 Good. Great. And wait. Just checking a second. Second. One moment. Yeah. Yes. Over at the same date. It's fine. Right. Give me a second. Okay. I'm checking chat. Axe says, "Oh, I'm good. It's actually my birthday." What, Axe? Axe, it's your birthday? Oh, Axe. Axe, you did not tell me it's your birthday. Axe a million. I hope you're still here because this matters, and I think you know why. I think you know. I think why Axe. We have an eye. Give me a second. I'm gonna catch up on chat. Did you forget the opportunity to? Yes. It's because of who you have with you at the moment, Sam and Vicar Max. Yeah. If it was the media's plan, if it was to make people all fussy and crazy, they managed to make it work with me. Especially, I only found emergency plans in German. You know. Also, I mean, I feel like some people just like whatever, they don't care. I'm good. It's actually my birthday today, so I'm celebrating 36 and feeling like I'm 33. Nice. Time of Gift says, given that backstory, I feel Halcyon Harry's first adventure causes the death of a popular character, which was resented by the angry mourners, resulting in his exit pursued by beer. Nice. Nice. Berlin is not the most beautiful town in Germany. I did a research trip to Berlin. I only got to stay there for like, it really should have been a month. Like, I really wish I could have spent a whole month in Berlin so I could do research in the archives. But I think I had to take it I had to take the trip during winter break, and I think that our winter break at UC was not very long. So I think I only got to spend like 2 or 3 weeks. And unfortunately, those 2 or 3 weeks were during winter break, which meant there were a bunch of archives that were closed for the like holidays. And so I did my best. I went to the Staatsbibliothek and I did a bunch of research there, but there were other things I could not see, which was sad. But you know, it is life. He anticipates me ranting only not so cool things about biomes. The mountains are in the way, blocking the view, blah, blah. I see you. You know, you can talk smack about Bavaria, but I already know that it's nice to be a price, but it's higher to be a bio. So nothing you can say can bother me. Just saying nice, bunny. And passable, sleepy Hamlet. RQ says, Bavaria is amongst the many beautiful parts of Germany. Lots of elevation difference, yeah. Ice Bunny says, Berlin and Köln are ugly as AF because they pretty had the pretty they had was bombed to bits. There's still some beautiful parts of Berlin. Trooper distracted? Trooper's never been distracted a day in my life. What? It's true. Access. I feel like I would enjoy Berlin for the architecture. Yeah. The blend of post-war, pre-post-war, and pre-post-separation area buildings of city planning would be such an interesting experience. Yeah, and there's some like cool bits of Berlin, right? Like I was where the Staatsarchiv is, so there are actually kind of neat parts there in the city center. You know, yeah. Because also I was hanging out in the Kurfürstendamm, which is the old entertainment district where like all the bands that I studied in the 1920s and 30s were performing. So I got to see some really cool parts of Berlin. That was really neat. I enjoyed. Oh, and there was this beverage that I'd never had before that I had every morning. I would go to this little cafe right by the. I was Airbnb-ing it. No, I don't think it actually was Airbnb. It wasn't Airbnb because Airbnb didn't exist. I had found a place on Craigslist. I'd searched for sublets in Craigslist, and somebody was going on vacation, and so I got to sublet their apartment, right? So it's just I stayed in somebody's place, and there's this little cafe right by where I was staying, and every morning, and I'd never had this in Bavaria, so it was they had heiße Zitrone mit Honig, so it's called hot lemon, and it's like hot lemon juice, but I think it's probably like a mix of water and lemon juice. So like it's a morning beverage, like because I don't drink coffee, and it wasn't tea. It was like hot lemon juice with honey is what it was. Heiße Zitrone it was called. But I think there must have been. It was clearly not pure lemon juice, but it was like this kind of a mix of like lemon juice and honey and probably water. But like it was just what you'd have in the morning because I didn't drink coffee, and it was so good. I'd never had it. I'd only had that in Berlin. I don't know if that's a Berlin local thing or a regional thing or where else in Germany that thing is, but that beverage is. But it was so good, and I actually don't know how to make it, but I have the internet, so maybe I could figure out how to make it. And I bet I have lemon juice in the house right now. I also have honey in the house. If I can find a recipe, I could have heiße Zitrone mit Limon, mit Honig. Yes, and I would like to do that. I would like to do that. That's the thing I'd like to do. We do add to the death counter for Outer Worlds. Yes, please, because we have some death. Jezza does have empty sports. I've been working really hard to not be over encumbered with Jezza. I've worked very hard. X, I think I've had that drink before. It was really good. So an Airbnb before Airbnb was a thing, yes, but it wasn't weirdly corporate. It was just people it was like want ads, right? I like that. Not too sweet, but just enough to take bite up. Yeah, it was so good. Nope, your mama makes it when you on the way to get a cold. Yeah, and it was so delicious. It was really, really good. So, backwards, Axe. I have to tell you something. Axe. I would have I'd have heiße Zitrone to drink, and then I'd have muesli for breakfast. So I'd go in and every morning I'd have like muesli with yogurt and then heiße Zitrone. Uh, uh, did I say muesli with milk or did I say mit Milch? I didn't say mit Milch. I said with milk. No, I said with yogurt. That's what I said. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I don't know if I'm speaking German or English. When I start speaking German a lot, my mind switches. Like I don't think. So here's the thing: when I learned German, I didn't learn German in school, so I was not learning German in terms of like translating things from English into German. I just learned German in Germany by talking to people and hearing people talk to me, and they were not translating. I remember just like sitting in. I would go to bars. I'd go to like Bauernkneipe, uh, like uh, like local bars, like not bars with a bunch of people who spoke English, because all my friends spoke English and would not speak German to me. So I'd go to like a local bar, and people just did not speak English, and so I'd sit there and I'd listen to them talk. I started playing soccer for a while, and I would just like go to these places and I'd hear people talking, and I would just like slowly start learning what they were saying. So I learned German in the context of German, and when I started taking classes in Germany, which was later, I didn't take many. What I got was a German dictionary for English for German learners, and it was not a German English dictionary or a German French dictionary. It was like a Langenscheidt for people learning German. So there were no translations into another language. There were just you'd look up the word and it would give you a definition of the word or a description of the word in simpler German, so that you could look up a word and stay in German in your head. And so when I'm speaking German for real, like when I'm in it, I don't think in English, and there are a number of words that I don't know in English that I only know in German, especially around soccer. And no, that's not fair, especially around injuries you get while playing soccer. Like a Kreuzband, I'm not quite certain what a Kreuzband is. Like, I know we have an ACL. We talk about ACL tears and RCL tears, but I don't know if the Kreuzband is the ACL or the RCL, or if it's a different ligament there in the knee. I know it's some kind of knee ligament. I don't know because I only know it in the context. I don't know what it is in English. I just know it in. Anyway, the point is that I think in German. So sometimes I don't know if I'm saying something in English or German. Sometimes, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not translating from English into German. So if I say something, it might be in German and I don't know it. That's what I'm trying to say. But I still have something for axe. I like that. Not too, yeah, yeah. Did local cafes have Wiener pastry that is really long? One side is raspberry jam and the other half applesauce, something similar. Oh, I've never had one of those. I've never had one of those. It's the thing that makes your knee not fall apart. I know, but there's like more than one of those things in there. RQ says, even though I'm a dual native Swedish English speaker, it took me a good 5 years to understand English if I was in Swedish mode and vice versa. Yeah, right. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where sometimes like my brain just like a, a switch flips, and I'm just in that language. That's not how I'm with Spanish anymore. Spanish I still have to translate. Some things I don't, but yeah, I would also das Kreuzbein cruciate. Oh, good, Axe, good, because I need you. The cruciate ligament. I have never heard of that ligament in English. I have never heard of that ligament in English. So I just know it in German. There you go. I just learned an English word today. The cruciate ligament. Huh. I'm so happy that I'm not the only one mixing up languages. Words are hard. I don't mix them up when I'm in it, right? Only when I'm trying to like move through sometimes. I learned an English word. Thank you, Time of Gifts. Axe. I have to tell you something. It's really important. Happy birthday to you. Hey. Happy birthday to you. Yeah. Happy birthday, dear Aximilian. You're beautiful, babe. Don't go changing. I mean that. And I'm here all week. Happy birthday to you and many more. Happy birthday, Axe. That's what I wanted to tell you. And I'm glad you're back, so I can tell you that thing. It was really important. Uh, you're welcome. Well, I could do a Maryland. I'd have to next birthday, I'll do a Maryland. That's what I'll do. It's good to see you, Axe. So now I can go back into the game and I can tell you these things. So, this is what I'm going to tell you. It's about math. I was thinking about math in a very specific way, and I had a thought about tunnels and trolls. So, tunnels and trolls, and I don't know if I told Dahlia this, but there was a thing I was thinking about math. Yes. So here's the thing I was thinking about when it comes to math. This for me is sort of an interesting thought. Oh, the cruciate ligament is both the ACL and the PCL. Huh. Okay. All right. Interesting. Huh. All right. So here's what I'm going to tell you. It's like what happened here, whatever it is. Uh, just it. Hello, Willow de King, Cascadia. Willow de King. I just have to tell you something really quickly. Why? Because this is how my mind works. Cascadia. My point of reference for Cascadia is the Great Cascadia earthquake of 1700 that hit the west coast of the United States, I suppose also Canada, of North America, and was so big that it caused a tsunami in Japan, which is some of the documentation we have about this particular earthquake. And they think it's the biggest earthquake that has hit this area, and it was like a 9 point something, rather, like one of those 9 point earthquakes. It was this big, massive. earthquake that was called the Great Cascadia because there's a fault line that I think it like basically is in the ocean, but right off the west coast called the Cascadia. So I know this because of RPGs. But when you say Cascadia, I think massive earthquakes from 1700. Just in case wanted to know my strange. But look, it's because I was doing an RPG that had to do with earthquakes. I didn't. I was creating an adventure that had to do with earthquakes, so I needed to know when all the main earthquakes were that hit California for like a whole like Cthulian sorts of thing. That there are limbs everywhere here. Side, just thought I'd share that. And maybe that should distress you. Maybe it shouldn't. I don't know. I really cannot say. That's not a thing I can. But I might a tad distressed. Okay. Anterior and posterior cruciate ligament. Oh. Yes, Lab on Gorgon. That's exactly where we are, Willow the King. Yes. We are almost done with Peril on Gorgon. We've gotten all the little peaks. We're in the big lab. We have like 2 missions left. We are going to finish Peril on Gorgon. We've only been playing this game for over a year. You know? So we're going to finish it, and I'm very excited about that. Well, not the whole game, because we haven't finished the game yet. But we're going to finish this, and then we have only one more DLC, and then we'll finish the game. It sometimes takes us a while to finish the game, and you might figure out why. Maybe. It might be that I like to talk to you all. Those limb coming through the walls make me think of the photos they use battleships after. Oh, yeah. Will is fine. Oh, thank you, Will. All right, Will, I got you. We are resuming, is what we're doing. But I also just want to repair equipment, because should do that. Got a little equipment situation going on. All right. So I have to read terminals before I can tell you about math. But it's important. I had a math thought. It's actually not just about RuneQuest, although Tunnels and Trolls. It's also about Shadowrun and a lot of other games of the style. And I had a thought last night about Tunnels and Trolls. And it's an interesting thought that I wanted to share with you. And yes. And I actually think I told DSB a little bit about this, but I want to share it with you because I think this is really. We have some human resources stuff. That geek. Slugcat watches Trooper judgingly. Look, this is 2 years. What? We're gonna just pretend like it's not 2 years. Let's look at this. Printer broken. It's not broken. It's just out of paper, which I have to say is pretty damned amazing. How in the name of the grand plan did you manage to print 450 documents in a week? Those can't all be transfer requests, can they? I know this project is well funded, but the head researcher must be even more famous than I thought if we're getting this many. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I think it's sketch. Last warning. Colin, you know our policy. Even if you do have proof that Mr. Putnam has been taking your lunch, Spacer's Choice disciplinary guidelines for theft only apply to Spacer's Choice property. Your lunch, and Mr. Putnam all constitute Spacer's Choice property. It is legally impossible for property to steal from itself. Please note that an inability to protect your own source of nourishment will be reflected on your permanent record. You cannot be trusted to guard your own sandwich. You cannot be trusted to guard classified information on behalf of Spacer's Choice. Karen Bloomstead, Senior Regional Vice Manager of Human Resources. P.S. Please have those reports sorted and on my desk before lunch. You're not in a junior position anymore, Colin. That does not sound, again, like I know what I'm going to say right now is pretty radical, pretty out there. This just does not feel like a fun work environment. This just does not feel like Spacer's Choice is a great place to work. Maybe I'm just judging too harshly, and I don't mean to if I am. Saying it does not feel like a fun work environment is all I'm saying. To be fair, 2 years of not playing every weekend. That's true. 450 docs in a week, more like a single day for me. I'm getting definitely transferred request. Yeah, not at all something sketch. First episode of Outer Worlds posted on YouTube December 10, 2019 in the previous decade. What? Atomica, I'm sorry. I just didn't hear you. What you said, there was static on the line. I just couldn't hear. Oh, did you say December in the future? Oh, what? Look, uh, yeah. What will even happen if we finish Outer Worlds? What would even happen? I don't even know. If they do their jobs, maybe they'd have better in time. Yeah, see? Uh, Ray World. I know what we're doing next. His hearing must be going. What? Let's see. Okay. We've got a message to C. Norwood, Holland. Okay, employee exchange. Math. Spacer's Choice is aware of Dr. Lowe's eccentric habits. Yes, Dr. Lowe medicates himself with experimental drugs of his own design. Ugh. No, we've not mentioned this flaw in Dr. Lowe's character in our exchange contract with Auntie Cleo. We believe that Dr. Lowe's behavior is consistent with the values of our rival company. Dr. Lowe and Auntie Cleo are, in the opinion of Spacer's Choice, an ideal match. Both Dr. Lowe and the Auntie Cleo company believe themselves to be better than nature. Please be informed that Auntie Cleo has generously offered at least 3 senior personnel in exchange for Dr. Lowe. It is Spacer's Choice company policy to accept any bargain in our favor. Sincerely, A. Bloomstead, Regional Man. 2. M. Liu, Semantic Hygiene, Michael. The office has reviewed your report of unlawful behavior exhibited by certain colleagues at your designated workplace. We find the contents of your report alarming and inconsistent with the values and vision of the Spacer Choice family. While it is the duty of every member of our family to report seditious and unlawful behavior, it is important to express your report using appropriate, company-approved language. Your description of violent outbursts and aggressive behavior from your colleagues is problematic. Furthermore, the office disapproves of your obvious exaggerations of any physical injuries sustained in your alleged altercations with your colleague. Spacer's Choice is not liable or responsible for any injuries caused by Spacer's Choice property, including machinery or other coworkers. Your description of your coworkers' behavior portrays Spacer's Choice in an unflattering light and will be stricken from any official record. Do not discuss, describe, or imply the contents of your report to your coworkers. Sincerely, K. Blumstedt. Wow. I feel like this is not a good place to work. I know that I might be jumping to conclusions, making things up, but I'm saying that I feel like it's not a good place to work. Also, I am going to eat food because I apparently have time. It's food time again. And we're gonna just grab, I've got a bunch of tobacco ears. Yeah, I've got a bunch of no, we're eating the heavy stuff because it weighs a lot. Yeah, we're gonna eat some Raptidon meat. It's fine. And once we eat the Raptidon meat, I'm gonna save, and then I'm gonna tell you the thing because I need to tell you the thing. It's important. I'm gonna tell you about math. It was a thought that I had. I think it's really important because it's about analog versus digital, and I think it's really, really important. So, okay, put the controller down so I can tell you because I do not want to forget this. But now I'm gonna read the thing. Shorter game than DAI takes twice as long to finish. Oh yeah, interesting. When Outer Worlds is done, it's Disco Elysium time, baby. I'm super looking forward to seeing Trooper Rex again. Disco Elysium I'm doing on the Mac, not the PS4, because I have Disco Elysium for the Mac, so which means Disco Elysium is going to be a Thursday game. So once The Long Dark is done, then it's Disco Elysium, and then once Outer Worlds is done, then it is Rainbow. And I believe we're getting really close. I think we're in the last chapter, right, of the last currently out chapter for The Long Dark. So I think we're coming to a close of I think there's going to be another chapter of The Long Dark, but I think we're going to be getting to as far as we can go. Once we finish this chapter, I don't think we have another one we can do for a while. So then we'll do Disco Elysium on Thursdays, which I'm excited about. Yes. Let's see. For he who can be trusted in small things may be trusted in great things. Jesus Christ, the parable of the talents. Axe says, if I were allowed to do my job instead of the job of 4 people who've just lost theirs, maybe I'd be happier having more enjoyable time at work and not shooting people like this. Schmelcher says, I'd be so interested to see a Trooper playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2. The time that would take is probably on the whole other times. You never know. Sometimes things go faster. It's unclear. It depends on how much time I get. Have I played I have not, Will. That's coming after this one. So, Eridos, which is the no, Gorgon is Medusa. It's the other one. Eridos is the one we're doing right after this one. Trooper plays Hoarder Heaven, also known as Animal Crossing New Horizon. Yeah, so oh no, we're playing this playing the Long Dark. Because Lindy's off in Korea, so we're playing the Long Dark for the next 2-3 weeks. Okay, so here's what I would say. It's really important. I don't want to forget it. It's about math. People were like, some of the players were like, "Ooh, there's a lot of math in Tunnels and Trolls." And here's my thought about that, because you can get big numbers, right? I actually think that in an analog setting, the math is faster and easier. Why do I say this? Because in Tunnels and Trolls, the players roll their dice, add up all the damage they do. The GM rolls the dice for all of the antagonists, adds that up, all the damage they do, and then you subtract one from the other, right? And then you sort of distribute that damage. Now, I think with a character sheet, I'm not quite certain if I can make a character sheet in Roll20 that will automate the subtraction part, because those are actually two separate rolls, and I think that Roll20 has a hard time remembering data that way, but there might be some workarounds through the API. I'll have to check it out. But what I was saying was, in person, that would be easier. And the reason why it would be easier in person is because there's a lot of math you don't have to do if you're doing it in person. Because in person, the players all roll their dice. I roll physical dice. I roll my physical dice, and then we just start matching dice and canceling out. I'll go, you've got to, I just take that 10 out. I take this 10 out. You take out, a 6 on your side, a 6 on my side. So there's a bunch of math we just don't have to do. So you just roll your dice, look at the two dice pools, and remove all the commonalities, and then you just have a couple of dice left, and that's your number. And so I was thinking about the ways in which some things that people now, when they're only interacting with it through a digital medium, seem like more math and more difficult, in person might actually be less math and less difficult. And I was thinking about how there is a lot of early games get this reputation of being very, very crunchy. And you could certainly call Tunnel and Trolls one of them. Although Tunnels and Trolls really depends on how you want to define crunch. Depends on, let's not use the word crunchy. Let's say mathy. Well, people say crunchy, but I think it's not necessarily a good term. But I actually think a lot of math is actually just not done, depending on what your system is like, when you're using physical dice that you can just pick up and remove, right? So I think that you just don't, I do not have to subtract 280 from 157 when I'm doing it in person, because I just look at the dice and remove things, right? We just remove it. And it's also, fast, and then you just got some dice left over, and that's what you do. So instead of doing that math, I'm probably only subtracting 25 from 10, and I'm like, oh, 15 or whatever the thing is, right? And so I was thinking about how the transition from analog to digital can make some analog things seem more mathy than they actually were. And I also think this is probably the case with some dice pool systems like Shadowrun, where you roll 27 dice, but only 6s count. So you just look at the number of 6s and you count 7. You know what I mean? So I was thinking about how some things might actually seem more difficult than they actually were, because they were not necessarily made with the assumption that you were going to do math in the way that you would do math if you're doing it on a digital platform that does not do automatic math. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to anybody? Because I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that quite a lot. That was a thought I was thinking, and I gotta see what you have to say. The worst thing is I gave the caveat that if Trooper doesn't dig the game style of Brain World, there's no obligation to finish it. I can't not finish it. I have a hard time not finishing games, Atomica. Maybe. Well, I was playing a real-time strategy game, which is not my genre. I like turn-based strategy games. Rat and Tooth and Tail. And friend was like, you just do not have to finish this game. I was like, but no, it's fine. I can do it. He's like, no, you don't have to. And so he gave me permission not to finish it, which is the only reason why I didn't finish it, because I have a hard time quitting games. It's like I'm abandoning them. And then I feel guilty. I feel like I've hurt their feelings, you know? So I kind of need some kind of outside permission. He's going to play it sometime in 2027 and won't dig it. And on this one, half the stream, he plays it. No, I'm going to like. I know that the Star Wars system sheets do something similar, so maybe it's possible. I agree with the dice matching in person. Yeah. I'm going to figure out. Oh, RQ, the Star Wars system does something similar. One moment. Investigate Star Wars sheet. Roll 20 for TNT. This. Thank you very much, RQ7, because all the sheets for Roll20 are in a big Git repository, so you can just look at them and see what they do. And if the Star Wars sheet does something similar, I'm going to go in there and look at it to see how they do it, because if I can figure out how they do it, then maybe I can model that, and that would be really, really great. So thank you. Mathemagical. RQ, I need to hop out to run to my home game. Oh, please have fun. What's your game? Fun morning. Looking forward to seeing how Friday turns out. Me too. Time of guess. Suggested draft. My colleagues have taken advantage of XYZ choice, generous and proactive policy towards workouts in the workplace, resulting in some unforeseen health loss among physically weaker coworkers. Oh, they just admitted being physically weaker. That might be a problem. Axe says, I'd love to play Shadowrun someday, but the way the core book is written, I cannot understand the character creation at all. Axe, I have a thought about that one. Yeah, Edge of Empire sheet. Edge of Empire. Thank you. I say this because what you do not know is that I actually am working on a Tunnels and Trolls character sheet. I was working on one before, see if I could try to get one made before our two-shot. And what I've done is I've actually put the elements into the character sheet. The CSS is ridiculous, doesn't look good at all, nothing fits, and none of the math is done. So it's like, it's not done, but I have a skeleton of a character sheet for Tunnels and Trolls done. I just now have to sort of go in and learn how their sheet workers work and look at the Genesis one. And once I can figure it out, then I'll have this Tunnels and Trolls character sheet, and then maybe I can put it online and on Roll20 so that other people can play Tunnels and Trolls, because Tunnels and Trolls is super cool. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to, like, I made, like, look, it was my first time jamming Tunnels and Trolls, so I made some mistakes here or there, but I think I made mistakes in a positive way, you know. So, for example, April Raygun's character could not have powered up that spell to a 9th level because she cannot cast a 9th level spell. However, I'm pretty sure she would have still murdered that thing with huge amounts of damage, because I think that her Dex and IQ are high enough that she could have powered it up to like 4 or 5 and she still destroyed it. So I think it would have been fine. But like little things like that, and I would get better at it. So I do want to GM it again, because I think that I could, like, I think that I'll just get better at the system as I know it better. Also, I was reading a blog post by somebody who's an old school Tunnels and Troll player, and she's like, I think she's written some adventures, and she was talking about how in physical combats, damage comes off your constitution. She said, but you could do social combats where damage comes off your charisma or your int IQ or something like. She talked about how you could do alternative challenges where the damage would come off a different stat. She said, it's easy. It's just like right there. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I think that I would be interested in thinking about that to see what that feels like, because it would have to be the right kind of mobs. But yeah, so I'm really interested in that as a concept. I'd have to like think about it. But yeah, I think there's something really cool and interesting there. Yes. You want to talk about the RPG? Yeah. Square Enix RPGs. Yes, I do like those. OJ4 Sport. Just not. Yeah. It would only, like, it wouldn't have been 11K, but because this is they call it geometric. And actually, here's the thing. You may not know this about DSB. DSB and I were talking about math last night. DSB. I'm going to say this thing, and DSB is going to disagree with me. and be like, stop it. DSB is like a math genius to me, in my opinion, in my perspective, from where I'm at. DSB is a math genius. And DSB is like, it is, I'm not a math, like DSB, I don't think DSB is that. But DSB is like really good at math. And DSB was the one who did the calculations for how much damage that was. And here's the thing you may not know about that. Oh, hi, excuse me. DSB did it all in her head. She did not use a calculator to figure out what 22 to the ninth power was. She just knew how to do that. She has that. She just has that in her mind. So that was just all in her head. Which she says it's not at all impressive. That's what she said. But I am impressed by it. And we were talking about math really late last night, but it was really good. And I appreciate it. We're going to come back to math because I just did not get the best math education for me, which is not to say that my math teachers were bad, because what am I going to say? I'm a high school student. What I know at the time. But what I will say is the math teachers did not teach me math in a way that helped me understand. I'm not bad at math. Basically, the thing is that I need to be taught things conceptually. I need to understand why we're doing things and what those things mean. Like, I need to understand the purpose of the thing. And if I can understand the purpose of the thing, then I will actually be able to work it out. Like, I need to be able to understand, like, the concepts behind what we're doing and why, so that then I can take that understanding into any different circumstance, right? Like, that's how I understand it. And my math teacher was not explaining why. My math teacher was explaining what, right? She would say, here's a formula, just use it. And I'd be like, okay, but why? I mean, I'm not challenging you. I'm not saying, like, why do I need to, like, I don't need to. That's not what I meant. What I meant was, what is the purpose of this function, right? Why do we use this formula and not this formula? And the response was like, well, we use the quadratic equation so we can take this and turn it into that. And I was like, okay, but why do I want to turn this into that? Why do I want to do that? Again, not because I trying to, like, undermine you in any kind of way. That's not what I mean. I just don't understand why. And if I cannot understand why, then I don't know when to do it effectively, right? I don't know when to do it here versus some other. Does this make, do people know what I'm talking about? I hope people know what I'm talking about, because this was a very frustrating thing for me. Also, apparently we still have not found this thing we need to find, which is yes. So what are we saying here?
The staircase is just like the board, over-engineered to the point of absurdity.
Thanks, Vicar Max. You know, I never carry you with me, so, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You say things all the time. I don't know what that's about. The DSB is like, well, it wasn't 22 to the ninth power. It was 22 times 2 to the ninth power, which is easier. Versus, like, I can do math that does not involve the alphabet. DH teacher, I'm teaching you math because if I don't, I lose my job. Well, it's like the purpose of it is to solve the formula. But the problem is, like, and the thing is, well, is like, that does not work for me, because then I don't know when to use it in the wild, or like what the, like, if I understand the concept, then I've got it. And then you can give me, like, once I understand the concept, you can give me really difficult things and I'm fine. But I need to understand the concept, and I was not given concepts, and that was very difficult for me. Iceman says, you need my math teacher from high school. Kenneth always had a real life reason why we need to learn this type of stuff in math, and he made me get it. See, I don't need a real life reason necessarily. Like, I don't necessarily, because here's the thing, there's some things that maybe you won't use in real life, and that's fine. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But, like, I don't need things to be justified in terms of, well, but in the real world, you will use geometry if you're going to be sewing, because like maybe I'll never sew. Like I don't need that. I just need to understand what we're doing, and not just in a like just do it kind of a way. I need to understand. Like I need to be able to visualize the concept. For me, that's a thing. Versus stop actually find your X, and no, I don't care about why. Like and I love puzzles. So if you can like explain it to me, because I love puzzles, right? So like finding X when you have to like factor things or move things around, like that could be fun. If like, okay, so my goal is to find X, got it. Okay, if that's my goal, okay, cool. Let me see what's happening. Let me see what we got, right? Or like you have to give me like a thing and let me understand what's happening, and then I can go and have fun with it. But if you don't give it to me, it can be difficult for me. Math needs context. Yeah, I need the context. That's bolus. Volume is easy to imagine as a jerry can or something like that. Demmers is car wheels or pizza. Yeah. I do. Kenneth had no explanation for trigonometry. Hey, Artie, how are you? Troopers, I'm right there with you. And DSB says, I actually disagree that math needs to or should be taught to apply. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it has to be applied. I don't think it has to be applied. I just need to understand what's happening. Many people understand it better through real applications and visualization, so teaching it that way is better for them. But a lot of math is actually all the same thing, just being applied in different ways. So in some ways, learning the theory is better than learning the specifics. Yeah, I just need the theory. Like I have this. If you can give me the theory and I can theoretically understand it, then I'm good, right? Typical method after I always wanted to know what their motivation is. Yeah. But I don't need it to be, because here's the thing. I don't think I'm not one of those people. How do I put this? Already said, consider X to be the spy that's hiding. You have to solve X. Really, it's mostly just about like hold on. So math is a new way to think about the world, to understand that everything consists of numbers, and in order to work with those numbers, you need to understand the things in this way. You need math. Yeah. And now I'm curious what kind of different schools of thoughts exist when it comes to teaching math. Yeah, super interesting. I only had C level, but I shocked the class on the first day of math, knowing that I knew the formula of relatively equals MC squared. So okay, so here's the thing. Here's a really good example. So I got A's in my math. So when I was in high school, I got A in algebra. I did not do well in pre-algebra in middle school. I didn't do well in my math class in middle school. My math teacher recommended I took pre-algebra, and I was super bored, and that screwed me up later for college applications. I got A's in algebra, and then I took geometry, and I got an A in the first semester of geometry, and I got a D in the second semester of geometry. And this is why. I was basically teaching myself math the entire time, because the way that the teachers were explaining math to me did not work for me, because I didn't get any context. I was not getting any theory. I was getting no theory behind my math. I was just getting like, here's the formula, just do it, right? That's what I was getting. And that is not a thing that helps me understand what to do, right? If you give me one example and you say, this is the thing, just do it. And then that's not, I need to get the theory behind it. And I was able to teach myself a lot just working it out myself on my own. And so then the teacher would explain things and I'd be like, this is not working for me, but I'd be able to figure it out on my own. I was like, okay, well, like we would just get these, like with geometry, I remember she would just give us formula. She's like, well, if we want to, like, this is the formula for area of a square. This is the formula for volume of a sphere. She would just give us formulas, but she would never explain where the formula came from or why, or how we got to that formula, like what the formula, like what's it about. But with a lot of basic geometry, I could just figure it out myself. I could just visualize it. I was like, okay, like I see how that works, right? Okay, all right, I can see how we do a triangle, how what that is that we're basically flipping the triangle this way, making it a square, doing the square thing, and then cutting it back in half. Okay, I get that. So I was able to like work out visually what was happening with a lot of the geometry without ever getting an explanation from her. But when we started getting to some really, really advanced geometry, I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't teach myself, as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, what was happening. I couldn't work it out on my own, and she just was not explaining it to me. She was just like, that's the formula, just do it. And that just didn't work for me. So I went from an A to a D. It just like from one semester to the next. Like that first semester was an A, that second semester when I actually needed somebody to teach me what was going on in a way that I could understand, which involved understanding the fundamentals, like understanding what was happening and why it was happening, not just like here's a formula, plug it in. Then I got a D because I needed to understand. I need to understand it, right? And not just copy. Like she was like, here's the thing, copy back. But I was like, I need to understand what's happening. And once yeah. So that wasn't great for me. I took discrete math in, oh, was it discrete math? I think it was a discrete math in college, and that was great because the teacher taught us in a conceptual way, and I was like, awesome, and I was good. I was good with it. Yeah. Um, and the only reason I knew that is because Einstein is a fellow dyslexic. I have no clue about the math. Hmm. Your high school math progression: geometry A, algebra B, pre-calc C. I took physics in senior year instead of calc because, well, interesting. One of my math teachers liked having fun with stuff. He believed that math teachers should be able to spell, jokingly, of course, so would use elephant or other things rather than X. But the one I remember the most was, what is the intersection of two planes? A tragedy. Gotta do stuff. Oh, have a great day, Will. We will see you later. I'm going back into the game, by the way, because I talked math, so I can tell you that. Yeah, and the thing is, I actually don't hate math. I actually think math is pretty cool, right? But the way my brain works, I need the meta understanding of what's happening. It's really hard for me to do stuff if I don't understand the meta of it. And yeah. Also, Will, it was great to see you, and I hope you come back. We'll be doing other stuff. Um, I think I might be ready to talk art, but I did want to say one thing about DSB. Um, oh, hi. DSB gave me some really great. We were talking about the quadratic equation. I totally missed that one. Awkward. Uh, didn't miss that one. Whoop. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got here. Use my hello. What? Why are they seem to be hiding. Well, weird, strange, awkward. Oh, maybe nobody knows we're here. Cool. So we just have to like snipe them one by one. Which, look, can I tell you, I love being a sniper in video. It's a but this thing we're gonna snipe. Ooh, creepy. I'm gonna just come back around here and hello. They're dead. They're dead. It's cool. Cool. Oh, there's more of them. Oh, hi. Oh, hey, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I don't want to hang out with you. Oh, hey. Hi, friends. Friends, use your special powers. Or don't. I don't know. Why don't you use your special power? Oh, hi. Woo! Excuse me. Let's just do that for a moment. That was not the thing I wanted. I wanted this. This is what I wanted. Excuse me for one minute. Let me just dodge the bullets and then, shoot somebody. Oops, pardon me. Yeah, okay, great. I was having a conversation with you about something. What was it? High level math. That's not gonna help me. High level math. Here we go. Excuse me. So what I was saying was, I just need the meta. It's really important to me. Oh, right. I know exactly what I was telling you right now. So DSB, when I were talking, and DSB, super cool, super very interesting. DSB was, are none of you going to use special powers? I feel like you two are wastes of spaces. Why are you even in my party? I don't even like the fact that, like, Nyoka and Ellie, they use their special powers all the time whenever I ask them to. So, like, if you would, please. Y'all are just never exciting to me. What about you? Finally. Y'all are just. I'm sorry. They were not giving me what I wanted. I was not. Uh, just gonna recognize that. All right. Thank you. Done. Anyway, DSB and I were talking last night, and we did not. Unfortunately, my computer crashed. Although I did some internet searching, I think I know what's happening. Which is good to know that business. But we were talking and we were talking about math, and DSP took this really sort of conceptual math class in like fifth grade or something. And we are working through thought processes, and I was really enjoying it. It was like I was impressed that DSP was not frustrated by my brain. But DSB, very, very patient. Not frustrated by my brain at all. At least not that I know of, or at least if she were, she did not express it out loud, which I appreciate very. But what she was doing, this was so cool. Look, this was really, really cool. DSB was like, okay, so here's the thing. I want you to start doing this thing, and I want you to explain to me exactly what's going on in your mind. And we had some really interesting conversations that got me to think about some of the ways that I do math in ways that are just, I think, kind of strange. Um, so there are things that I intellectually know, but when I sit down to do the math, that I don't think about them the same way. And I think a really great example of this, which I thought was just so interesting, was that I think of 13 times 12 as different than 12 times 13, even though intellectually I know they're the same thing. I know they're the same thing. It's just like you can flip any with multiplication, you just flip those numbers and they're the same thing. But because I work visually, some things do not go into math space for me. Some things I can just look at and visually think of them as clusters of things and put them together, but some things go into math brain and I have to put math in. And so it was like being able to see the difference in my mind between those things, or when I think of something, like it was really good. It was really fascinating. I learned some things about how my mind works a little bit, and I know that I'm not done learning those things because I know that because we got the computer crash before like DSB could like pull the curtain off. Like DSP was working towards this thing that was going to get me to get the. She's going to teach me the what the function, what the purpose, the meta level purpose of the quadratic equation is. She's going to do it, and I saw that we were going there, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited to get there, but I hadn't gotten there yet. I was working through the process, and I was learning all these things about my math brain that was like super fascinating. And I feel like I will be better at math conceptually, right at the end of this process. And I was just like, DSB is super impressive that way, and if ever you have a chance to have DSB poke you about math, you should take her up on that offer because, like, I started getting like really cool like little brain explosions. I'm not even finished them. We didn't get to the payoff, and so I'm really excited to go back in and get to the payoff. And it's also because we started talking about new math, Common Core, and what's interesting is that the way that I was taught math, like I was taught math in a very old way. Right, like I do long division for big numbers. Like I do things that are very clearly based in a way of learning math that was, from the 70s and probably earlier than that. And so I'm really excited to learn some of these other things, other ways, like in high school, right? In ways of thinking about math that DSB knows. And so like I just would recommend it. It was very cool. It was very, very cool. And I, yeah. Artie says, yeah, one teacher I had was bad. They taught straight from the textbook and would try to go through examples, but would get lost partway through, which was not at all helpful. Thankfully, the next math teacher I had was really good and spent a while covering over all the stuff the previous teacher bungled. Oh, I'm glad that you had one. Bryce says, I had a weird relationship with math in school. I was really good, at least until later high school classes. Like, I usually left the classroom and did work alone as I was chapters ahead of the class, good most of the time. But I never really cared for it. Like, I didn't hate or anything, just wasn't for me. But because I was good at math, everyone just assumed I loved math. That's really... It's true, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you like it. Rissa says, my roommate majored in math, but I think mostly despite terrible high school math teacher. I really should have taken, I didn't take math. I took discrete math. I might be lying to you. I think I did. Maybe not. So at my undergrad, we had to take 2 math classes for distribution requirements, but they could be computer science, so I took computer science classes. I took Introduction to Java, Introduction to Programming 1 and 2. No, Computer Programming 101 and 102. And so then I was done with my math requirement. But the teacher was so good, and I really enjoyed it. She was like, you should really take, I feel like it was discrete math. Was DSB, was it discrete math that I took? You're like, how do I know your transcript? I was like, well, I'm asking because it was the one that we started off with, like, we did the math where you put the math in, the logical boxes, right? Those, do you know what I mean? Quadrants, like Foursquare, and we did the math. I feel like it might have been discrete math. I feel like that was it. Unless there's like some other name on it. I'm just thinking discrete because you said discrete. But I took that math class. It was great. I really enjoyed that one too. And so I feel like maybe if I took more math in college, I would have gotten what I wanted out of math. I need to talk to Moon, uh, because she's a math teacher here and she's like super cool. She does all this work on math of like elections and things like that, and gerrymandering, and she's super cool. And I bet that she could tell me some math things. And I want college math. I want like a good college math class, because I find that very often high school is like the watered down version of the thing that you do in college, and it's not. It's not like, I just feel like we got math. Well, if we got a lot of subjects taught the way you teach them in college, I think I would have just enjoyed them a lot more in high school. I mean, look, I got a 2.8 GPA in high school, but like basically a 4.0, 3.99 or whatever in college. The way they taught things in college worked for my brain way better, and I would have appreciated a bit more of that in high school. That's all I'm going to say. Um, Ice Bunny says, I had a mandatory oral exam in math, and I was the biggest excuse in existence. The only thing that should have said was my calculation on the line. I've never done an oral math. Oh, DSV, I thought you said DSV, and I thought you were going to talk about Sequest. Oh, DSB might be Advanced Submarine. We don't know. Trooper, who are your Discord mods? Oh, it should be the same as our Jer and Rissa are our mods. They might want to monitor some things being said in Tabletop Musing channel right now, because I'm getting angry and rather not be angry right now. Oh, okay, I am not in there. Okay, Jer's watching. Thank you. Nothing's happened yet, but like it might. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for monitoring that, because I'm here. I took chemistry in college to meet my math requirement. I passed, but it was not a great choice because math. Matrices. If I know I want to go into the humanities, I would be so unhappy in math class. The thing is, here's the thing. I'm going to say something. I'm going to push back against that as a humanities person. Ice Bunny. I'm going to say something. I'm going to push back about that for a moment, because this is a thing that I'm going to push back, and I'm going to do it in a second. I want to finish the comments. I'm going to come back. Time of Guess says, new math, great for you to review math. It's so simple, so very simple that only a child can do it. Tom Lear. DSB says, if it was matrices, it was linear. No, it wasn't linear algebra. Discrete doesn't use graphic depiction, so it was likely not discrete. It was computer math. It was math it was like logic math. It was like, so if it wasn't discrete math, it was like logic math. And it was like, it was math for computer science stuff. It was like a math that was like gonna help you with computer science stuff. Like, so more thoughts. Is music not nice sounding math? Depends on how you think about it. An oral math exam sounds my own personal nightmare. Yeah, I don't know how I'd be good at that one. Oral math exam makes absolutely no sense. Base level math is good for everyone, I think. Logic for math CS sounds like discrete math. Yeah, I hate Cake Bite. I think it was discrete math. I think we started off with the logic matrices. So here's why I'm gonna read these messages. When somebody says, well, I'm in the humanities, I don't need math, I'm going to tell you why that bothers me right about now. And it's tied to something else that happens that bothers me. To manufacturing department, as a professor who's a humanities person at the university. New adventure. SCRC. I run the SMC's interdepartmental Systems and Serfdoms game. We host participants from every part of the Spacer's Choice family. Technical support, human resources, and even here in the manufactory. We just reached the stunning conclusion of our last campaign, and I've submitted the necessary paperwork to begin a new one. Soon. Interested? A few spaces for adventuring spacers are still available. Not sure what Systems and Serfdoms is? Don't worry, we're beginner friendly. I'll be happy to walk you through character creation and more. S&S is all about helping each other and having a good time after all. If you're not familiar with Systems and Serfdoms, fret not. Novice entry fees are minimal. Please note that I'm required by corporate to submit a detailed report of our adventures for moral hygiene auditing. Please also note that any subversive character concepts will result in your immediate report. Your Systems Master, Sally Garcia. Worrisome. Great work. Sally, thank you for putting in the extra time to fix those terminals on the top floors. Even though you're not a designated member of the technical support team, your work saved me a reprimand on my permanent record. In fact, your work was so impressive that I thought you might appreciate having a few more tasks on your desk. You must have noticed the adhesive notes on your desk. These are backlog repair tasks from the technical support team. I understand you've got your own work in the manufactory, but I think you'd benefit from the additional tasks. Remember, work fortifies the spirit. Sincerely, Tony Hamario. This is the worst timeline. And poor Sally, she's clearly just like an awesome nerd, and now she's getting extra work. So sad. Not living for it. Place, worst place, worst timeline. Yes, I'm gonna talk about this environment quite a bit, and then we're gonna get to requests. You did history at Union, while I chose areas of history and topics that avoided math. There are many areas of history where math is very central. Rissa, I would not want to share anything about my COC game with my employer. No. I said to Kenneth, why do I have to explain it? It is not enough that I show when I can use it in your school. All exams but in the HF, all exams are oral. Danish, math, and English. There are also papers and A-level paper. Yeah. I love how I made it. See, two things are about the alliteration. So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a thing that I hear all the time. I hear this all the time from my undergrad. Before I tell you, for those of you who are European and not American and who do not interact with the American system of undergraduate education, and for whom you have a different model, which my understanding is that quite a few do have a different model, let me tell you how our model works. Also, this. Okay, so our undergraduate degrees, for the most part, with some exceptions, follow the liberal arts model. There are some, like if you get an engineer. Oh, you know what? Actually, I don't think I need to just shoot this drone. I think I can just come up and hack it. So engineering degrees, there are a couple of exceptions, right, to our practice, but generally speaking. Done. That was awesome. I felt good about that. Generally speaking, and please, everybody who's here, you can always correct me when I get something wrong. But so I have a friend of mine who's British. This is my understanding of the British school system, and also I think a little bit about the German. I don't know French. Oh, hi. Can I just hack you again? It looks like hacking you doesn't keep you dead, so we're gonna just have to shoot you a whole bunch. That seems less exciting. Oh, now there are a bunch of them. That's not at all exciting for me. Hello. So, I need to have better trigger control. This is outrageous. So anyway, my understanding of the European system, please again correct me if I'm wrong, is that when you apply to college, you apply to a specific major, right? So you're like, I want to go and major in history. At least I know this for England. Ooh, I'm out of food. So that you pardon me for a moment, to replace what's going on in here, so that you apply for a specific major. Like you are, young kid, and you're like, I want to major in history. So you apply in history, and if you great. So you apply in history, and if you get in, right, if you get into the university that you are then studying history, like that's what you study. And my understanding is if you want to change majors, you have to reapply, and you might not get into the new major, right? So that you're applying for a very specific. That is my understanding. I use a lot of math and history classes, says Chromatic. Yeah. Big one was proving how the Crimean War drove British investment in U.S. rails to get wheat out of Midwest. Math as usual. Yeah. Also humanities loves statistics of various kinds, and that is very much math. Yes. So we had so my understanding, right, in that Europe, that you're applying for a very specific major, and then you get into that major and you kind of concentrate on that major. My understanding is also that a lot of your undergrads, things are changing a bit, because in Germany they didn't really have a BA. We have BAs, and they didn't really have them. They basically got a master, or you go on to get a PhD. Sort of, I think, because in Germany, if you go to gymnasium, you sort of get your AA as part of high school. So like it's a slightly different setup. But anyway, your BA is often so. But the thing is, they're different. A BA is different than an MA. But my understanding is that they're now actually adding BAs to German university systems when they didn't have them before. Not so much. Sweden is very much like that. Scotland was like that as well, but pretty flexible at my uni, at least in the first second. Bachelor of Arts is Baracus, afraid of flying. Hmm. So that sort of setup is not what we do in the United States at all, for the most part. Like if you go to a conservatory or anything. So generally speaking, what happens in the U.S. is that you apply to a college, but not to a major. And when you get into the college, you still don't have a major. In most of the places I've been or taught at or know about, you must declare your major by the end of your second year. And you're like theoretically it's a 4-year time period to get your BA, so for 4 years. At the end of the second year, you must declare your major. You can declare your major early, but generally speaking, we do not encourage people to declare their major right away. We don't want them to declare their major right away. We want them not to. We want them to not declare their major. We also have, within the liberal arts context, most liberal arts universities have distribution requirements, wherein you must take a certain number of classes in certain areas that are not your major, right? So my undergraduate, you had to take 2 classes in the arts, 2 classes in the humanities, 2 classes in the social sciences, and 2 classes in the math and hard sciences. Those are the 4 distribution requirements, the basic. Out of basically 32 classes, 8 had to be those. We also had some additional distribution requirements. You had to take something that fulfilled the world culture requirement. You had to take something that would be. My undergrad had a special kind of interdisciplinary requirement, where there were these courses that were interdisciplinary, and you had to take one lower division, one upper division. The school that I teach at right now, they have a lot more distribution requirements than I'm used to, and I think it's a bit too much, but 2 arts, 2 humanities, 2 social sciences, 2 math, and then 2 hard science. So 10 courses. And if you're a hard science major, great, 2 of those classes of your distribution are covered, but you still have another 8 classes to take outside of your major. So with in our model, you are required to take classes outside of what you think your major might be. Like that's one of our core foundational setups, right? Eisman says you kind of waste a whole year of expensive classes and you don't care for them. See, this is not where our mindset is. Like this is not a trade school where you only take classes in your trade. This is actually very much against the philosophy of what we're doing here. Heskip says, in England, you apply for a specific course major. You can change course, but there have to be spaces available. If there are no spaces available, you may have to wait until the next academic year to start your new course, right? Plus we always have a writing and language requirement. Also a math requirement if you don't score well in your math SATs. And the idea is to ensure a well-rounded student, right? It took me ages to learn what MA and BA all meant. The fact that my uni is only like one of 4 universities in the world that are allowed to call their bachelor undergrad degrees Master of Arts, that's interesting. Now, if you get an MA, then you just focus. When you're doing a master's, then you're focusing on a very specific thing. You only take classes in that thing for the most part. But our idea is that we want you to be well-rounded, that there is value in knowing things other than the thing that you think that you're interested in. As a citizen, as a person, as a human being, that there is value in knowing. And also, we don't think you should be hyper-specializing that early. We think you should get a good, well-rounded education, and then if you want to hyper-specialize, you can go off to get a master's or a PhD. And that what's important to learn is critical thinking skills, writing skills, or these other things, but also, and this, by the way, this is my experience 100% as a university teacher, and it was not so, and that is what you think you might want to major in as a 17-year-old may not be what you actually want to major in. We have so many students who come into university and they're like, I'm going to major in medicine because their parents want them to, or because they think that's like a thing to do, or I'm going to major in law. So many people come in there, I'm going to major in computer science, or I'm going to major in business, or like these things that they think they're going to major in because they think those are like the things you should do. But then we say you need to take classes in a wide variety of topics. They do, and they're like, oh, actually, I don't want to major. I actually think I want to do environmental studies or critical race theory or whatever, right? So like the idea is that you may not actually know what you want to do with your life yet. Especially because so many topics are never taught in high school. There's so many things that are never taught in high school. I didn't even know that musicology was a field. I didn't know it existed. Musicology is a thing that you would never know existed because the only way that we interact with music in high school and lower is music classes, like where you learn how to sing, like you go to choir, or you learn how to play a violin or whatever, right? But the idea of music history, we don't have those classes. There's so many things that you don't even know exist because you're just not taught. Like you're not; those are not the basics you're learning in high school. And so, how can you know what major you're going to if you don't even know the wide world of things that are open and available to you? Also, because they often teach things not the same way in high school than in college, and maybe you wouldn't like math in college, but in high school, but maybe you actually would like college math, or vice versa, right? So there's a way in which we really want people to be able to sort of experience other things, because like I ended up becoming a German studies major, in a way, and like I didn't think I would do that. And I was a double major, right? So one, we think it's really important to expose people to new ideas, um, right? That's one thing. That's important. Um, and The real challenge is being able to take the required classes for your major in 4 years, given class size ability, and whether you can take the right prereqs based on those classes. Um, I'm becoming more well-rounded with age, mostly physically. Understand? Balrog, how are you? We're talking about education and what the U.S. concept is because somebody said a thing and I wanted to push back on it. Also, I'm playing a video game. I swear. Um, uh, Also, the fact my undergraduate was 4 years long instead of the normal 3, allowing for more course outside my degree. That was really good. Yeah. Also, we've got a sub, and I think you know what that means. Thank you. That's why you go to Volkshochschule after your high school and you do not have any exams. That's different. My own path through education was haphazard in that I knew what I wanted to focus on, languages, but I didn't know what direction to go into. Right, and the ability to sort of like explore those things. And so many people go to college assuming that they're in training for a specific career and stuff. Yes, our colleges are not career training places. They're educational institutions, right? They're not there to be like, oh, we're going to teach you how to be a X, right? It's actually there to make you flexible so you can move and do different things, right? It's a different concept, right, of education. So 100%. The reason they now allow students to change course at university because so many students change their minds once at university, right? They learn about different courses options and they want to change to the one that better fits them, right? And when I was in the 90s, people I knew I knew British students, and they couldn't do that without having to totally reapply. There was no guarantee they'd get back in, so they often just stuck. They stayed with things they didn't really want to do because they were afraid that if they tried to reapply, they just wouldn't be able to, right? You know what I mean? And yeah, people like you're very different at 17 than you're at 22. What I'm trying to say. Gervais says high school is and lower is still kind of outside the academic field. Yep, subjects are so different. Absolutely, both in that many more subjects exist. Yep, at that level, and what the previous subjects actually mean. Like what history means in high school and academia are fairly different from each other, and what history means in like college is so much cooler. You know what I mean? Like I was like, this is awesome. It was not. I was very frustrated in high school. Cool things were on the edges of there, but we weren't getting it. And then high school and in college, it was like, yes, right. So they're just very different things. Yeah. Balrog says, then mental health forced me to break off my studies. Yeah. I caved to pressure and went into a new field that I didn't want to, but felt I had no real choice about, which ended up disastrously. And on my third attempt, I finally picked up again what I wanted from the start, and that time succeeded. Yes. And one, we don't think you necessarily know. You're not supposed to be exposed to all the options. And here's the important thing. And I'm going to say this, and I know that I'm not playing the game, but because this is really important. This is something that politicians who are anti-education and anti-intellectualism often try to say things like, what's the point of those? Why are colleges teaching art history? That's stupid. Colleges should be teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. We don't need art historians. We need blah, 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 blah. Like, we need people to build computers, whatever. They say these things all the time. They really try to minimize and devalue, especially the arts and humanities, especially. But also, reading, writing, arithmetic, what are you talking about? But the thing is, a university is not a job training program. You can major in art history and still build, right? Like that's, right? One of the things is that we, the industrialist motivation, like the neoliberalism motivation for schools is so irritating. And the thing is, we believe, right, within a liberal arts model, that learning things outside of what you think you're interested in will just help you and enrich you and is better for you in the long term. Not everything has to be two things, right? One, not everything has to be like, well, if I'm not going to use this in my job, I don't need to know it. What is that? What is that? What kind of life do you, that's a spacer's choice outer world sort of situation, that if you don't need to know it for school, for your job specifically in a very direct way, you don't need to know it at all. What is that? What is that? That is some classism right there, is what I'm going to tell you that is, right? Yeah, art is seeing the world in a new way, like math. PH, yes, absolutely, right? Absolutely. This is really important, right? This is really important. Math is about seeing the world in a new way. Art is about seeing the world in a way. All these things about seeing the world in a new way, and being able to see the world in new ways makes it more likely for you to see yourself in a new way and come up with new ideas. To be able to be flexible. And also, you don't know what you'll in your job, right? Because part of the American model is that, which is very different from the German model, right? I'm thinking about people I knew who, like in Germany, I mean, it might be different now because it might have been more flexible. You train a very specific thing, and that's the only thing that you can do, basically, right? I had a friend of mine, she studied law, and she failed her law exam twice. And if you fail your law exam twice, that's it. You cannot take it again. You can't be a lawyer. And I was like, well, she finished the whole schooling, but then she didn't pass the exam. And I was like, well, why don't you become a paralegal? You basically finished your law degree, so why don't you become a paralegal? And she said, I can't be a paralegal because I didn't study paralegal. Like, you have to I'd have to go back to school to study paralegal because they're hyper specialized in that way. Like, I knew somebody who she worked at a bookstore, and she did her apprenticeship in selling at a bookstore. So she could then not go and sell at a different store because she specifically trained for 3 years to sell books in a bookstore. So she was not able to shift to some other position without having to study again. And my ex, who she decided to go into like what's it called? She was becoming a travel agent, which means she had to go into apprenticeship and learn how to be a travel agent, specifically go through that schooling. Whereas we don't necessarily do that. We train you to be flexible so that you could then go from one job to maybe a very different job. And so you never know what will be actually interesting and useful for you, right? That thing that you didn't think you might need, you actually might end up needing, and that's right interesting. Yeah, Javai says, I honestly can barely even imagine how limiting. Excuse me for a second. We're just going to how limiting the Swedish system must feel compared to how broad my degree was. Oh, like not only did I have room to take courses outside of my subject, history, I had to take non-history courses my first 2 years. Yeah, like it was a requirement for any history to have non-history courses. Absolutely. Yeah. DSP says, that's like saying my wrist hurts, but my arm is fine, so I just want you to focus on my wrist. Things are connected to other things. Absolutely. In artists like math is often refers to the universal language. And Ballrick says, the German model is still as rigid. Oh, man. Based on what I experienced there in my brief time. Yeah. Paralegals for the win. It's a terrible system, especially it doesn't help that it's not the same system across all the states. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember, right, I was talking to somebody, and I met somebody in a bar, and I was chatting with her, and she was from Eichach, and she was a baker. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, whenever I meet somebody that does a job that I've never done, I ask them about their job because I'm like really interested in like what their life, like hobbies, tell me stuff, right? And I learned about like what it was like to be a baker. And I came back to my friends who were all law students. I was like, oh, I met this woman. She was really cool. She was a baker. And they're like, oh, she was a baker? Oh. I was like, what? And like, that means she probably only got her, she probably only went to Hochschule. Hauptschule. Hauptschule. She probably only went to Hauptschule. And I was like, okay. So? I'm like, well, that means she's probably stupid. I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, we don't even know if she got her like QA, like her qualified, like Hauptschule with like a bonus or whatever. And I was like, what is happening, right? And these are like liberal, progressive law students who are all like cool queer people who were talking like classist crap that I could not even handle. And so I was asking them about like the different differences between the Hauptschule, the Realschule, and the Gymnasium. And they told me that in the Hauptschule, the students only learn business math, which people will often say, we should only learn business math in high school. Like they don't learn algebra. It's like they don't learn algebra in the Hauptschule. Like, and one of my friends, who's a good, progressive, liberal, queer person, said to me, yeah, well, I mean, you don't need to teach people algebra if they're going to go to Hauptschule because they're going to work in a factory. And if you have too much like math and that kind of stuff, you'll just think too much and it'll just make you unhappy. You'll just be unhappy working in a factory with that much. So it's just better for them not to have that kind of mathematics education or education in general. And I was like, what the heck? This is gross. And that was the moment, as a person who, again, did not do the best in math in high school, that was the moment I was like, no. Now I want people to learn algebra. I want everybody to learn algebra. The idea that you don't want people to learn algebra because you think it'll make them dissatisfied and disgruntled when they're working in a factory says to me that maybe everyone should be learning algebra. I don't like this. I did not like that at all. And it really made me think about a lot of things different, right? Maybe think about a lot of things different. I did not like that. I did not like it at all. It made me very unhappy. Very unhappy. Yes. Yeah. You take a test at 5th or 6th grade and it essentially determines your path in life. You can try to do something about it, but your chances are you're stuck. And in Bavaria, it was not 5th or 6th grade, it was younger. It was like 12, I think. And so 12 is, no, you're right. Yeah, that's 5th or 6th grade. Absolutely. You're right. Yes, 5th or 6th grade. Yep. But when I learned about that, I immediately had to think about Breaking the World. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad again. Yeah. Gervais says, being overly focused on a subject or trade for a degree also has the same issues that in many cases, even ones that require high education, the work is very different from what you study. So not only are you limited to a specific job, you won't even be properly prepped for it anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think we're 11 in 6th grade. Yes. And then here's the other thing I wanted to say, besides you don't know what you're going to use. This is really important. I get it all the time when I have hard science majors saying to me, I don't know why I have to take a writing class. I don't need to know how to write because I'm a chemist. I don't need to know any of this stuff. I don't need to know how to write. I don't need to know how to read because I do chemistry. And I don't want to waste my time learning how to write and read. When I'm just not interested in it, I'm not going to use it for my job. And then I have humanities folks being like, I'm a humanities person. I'm going to be a musician. Why do I need to know how to do math? I don't need to know how to do math. What's the point of that? I don't need that. I'm going to be a musician. I don't need math. Or I had a person who was a pre-med major who was really mad that we had a diversity requirement. Was like, why do I need to learn about other cultures? I'm going to be a doctor. I don't need to know anything about other kinds of people because I'm just going to be a doctor. Why do I need to know that? And the thing is, you need to know all of those things, right? Like if you are a music major and you do not know math, people are going to rob you blind when you go in to get your contracts done, right? As an 18-year-old. People are going to cheat and steal. Also, just knowing math is interesting and it makes you a different person. And maybe you'll think about music differently. I have done, after my computer science stuff, I did some compositions that were really interesting ways of like doing permutations on math that I was like, thought was really neat. That I would not have done had I not taken those discrete math classes or those computer programming classes. People who are chemists who can write well can also write grants to get funding and maybe also explain what they're doing in chemistry to people who are not chemists and therefore maybe have a different kind of impact on the famous story about Steve Jobs, who one of the reasons why Apple became Apple is because he took a typography class that he was required to, like he had to take a class outside of his like computer stuff, right? He just took like typography fonts and he learned about like aesthetics, and that changed one of the reasons why the Mac is the Mac and not the PCs, because he took these humanities classes that taught him different ways of thinking about art and aesthetics, and he sort of like, I was like, I should bring aesthetics to computers, and that changed everything, right? And the idea that learning something outside of that one narrow thing you're interested in is a waste of time makes me so deeply sad. Because I will tell you what, I have been to parties where there were only musicologists at those parties, and somebody brings their boyfriend who is not a musicologist, who doesn't know anything about what we're talking about. I can walk over to that guy and have a conversation with that guy because I know things other than what I've studied. Like, don't you want to talk to people and like meet them where they're at and like just know more things? Like so many things in my life that I have learned that are not part of my job have become my job. Do you know how often D&D has helped me being a music professor? You'd be surprised, right? Like all these things that I've learned, I just know more about the world, which means I know more about myself. I see the world differently. When I meet somebody who's not like me, I have a better chance of being able to interface with them. And look, when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be an actor. 100% convinced I was going to be 100%. And when I started doing theater when I was like 11, I did television. I was like full on actor mode. And I joined the Army because I couldn't afford to go to college. And when I was in the Army, I learned a whole bunch of things that I'd never learned before, that I'd never even thought about learning. I mean, I became a military intelligence as a spy, did analysis. I learned that I was really good at all sorts of really interesting logic and deduction and analysis that I'd like history weather, like all sorts of stuff I never thought I was good at. And I learned that I was good at it because I did something that I didn't think I would be good at and that I thought it was interesting. And then I started doing more music while I was there, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I lived in Germany. I learned all sorts of things about German history, all these things I never would have known about. And then I come back and I decide not to study acting, to study music and German history, German culture. And I never would have done that if I was just so narrowly focused. And now I even think about like Uta Hagen said, if you're an actor, you have to know as much as you can about everything. Because how can you play a character if you don't know anything about the world? If you don't know math, if you don't know anything, how are you going to play convincing to these people who are different from you? How can you get into their shoes? And like for me, everything that I learn, whether or not I use it in my job, although you'd be surprised if you know things are creative, helps me just be a better citizen and be a better part of the world and empathize with other people and maybe invent new ideas and come up with things I never thought about. And or when somebody starts talking about things, have a better idea. Like, how many people are so bad at science? So when people walk up there and they go, well, you know, like, I mean, oh, man, I was thinking about some of those politicians who are like those like male dudes who are anti-abortion, who are like, women's bodies, if a woman doesn't want to have a child, she can just not have a child. Her body can just shut that down. They know nothing about women's anatomy whatsoever. They clearly have not taken biology classes or were not paying attention, and they're now legislating women's bodies, right? You know what I mean? And like, I feel like you need to know those things. You should. And the thing is, and sometimes it's just like a process of expanding who you are. And I think that there's value, even if that doesn't become the thing you work on, to know things about the world and yourself and other people, and not to think if it's not the one thing in front of my face, I don't need to know it. That makes me so sad. And any time I have somebody who's like, oh, it's a waste of time for me to take this class, I was like, it's not. Like, it's really not a waste of time. Like some classes might be a waste of time because they're poorly taught, but learning in and of itself is a positive thing. It's like if I had somebody in my life, and I probably will at some point in time, who was a woodworker, who was like really good at woodworking, and they could teach me how to whittle, somebody who's really good at whittling, I would jump at that opportunity to learn how to whittle from that person. Because that would be a way of like, my body would learn something new. I would learn something new about how to look at wood, how to see shapes within wood. I would learn so much, and that would be something really important to expand who I am as a human being. Laugh Love Lindy, you know Laugh Love Lindy. She says she's not an artist. I know why she says it. She's a graphic designer, which I think is an art, but I know what she means. And she uses vector graphics, and I've always been taught. I always learned. I mean, I did art from very small as well, and I would draw like with a pencil and paper. And she does vector art, and that's an entirely different way of seeing things. And so when I look at a thing, I was like, I want to make this in GIMP, right? So I think I'd probably do this. She's like, oh, you can just do that with a vector graphic and do this, and like, it's an entirely different way of conceptualizing. She doesn't think in the way that I'm thinking. She's thinking in terms of shapes and overlapping shapes in a different way because those are the tools she has. And having her explain that to me has been phenomenal because now I see physical objects in a way differently than I'd seen them before. And that opens up my world. And it makes me, yeah. And so I just think that basically, I just don't think there's a lot of value in being willfully ignorant. I just don't think that, I just don't. I think there's, look, and if you don't do it, you don't do it. You do. Everybody can do their own thing. But I don't think that, especially in a country that is anti-intellectual and that is trying to shut down critical thinking, critical race theory, higher education in general, that's trying to destroy our educational system through a lot of means, I do not think that advocating not knowing things is great. That is my take on that. Yes. Now I'm going to see what our chat says. Rissa says, I have friends who studied computer science in college in the 90s whose degrees weren't applicable by the time they earned the degree because of how quickly the field changes. What's really interesting, Rissa, is the people I know who studied computer science in college were fine. The people who I know who taught themselves computer science were less fine because most of the people I know who learn computer science, at least nowadays, I don't know what it was like back when, learn concepts they learn data structures and concept structures so that they can then be flexible to take the kind of the overall knowledge they have to any language. And so I know people who basically self-taught themselves only one language, but they don't have the larger meta knowledge. But I know people who like studied computer, because people are like, you don't need to study computer science, you can just teach it yourself. The people I know who studied computer science have a kind of meta knowledge which allows them to move to any language. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Device says, guess that Kimmis doesn't care about people using what they come up with or give them money to do research with. Yep. And Balric says, I was 12 in 6th grade, but that's because I was born in October. With the way the German school starts it worked, I was a month and a bit shy of being 6 at the start of the school year. So when I was allowed to start school, it's basically a year older. Yeah, that's about right. Sound is vibration, says PH, and vibration is math. DSP says, also learning different systems of thinking helps you communicate with those people. So really they are just saying, I don't care about understanding or communicating with people who are different. Axe says, as someone who works in finance and has to deal with people who result from I don't need to know how to read or write. Yes, they bloody well do. Absolutely. Loneku says, maybe we can all agree that building an education system filling every kid's needs, abilities, and still be challenging is hard. Is there a reference system in the world? It's interesting because we do have like special needs. We have people who are trained and trying to figure out how to learn how to be adjustable, right? And I feel like we can do something. I feel like we could do something. You know what I mean? I feel like we could. But Lonku, I think you're right that it's challenging hard. But the people I know who are like, yeah, let's have people go to trade school, not teach them anything. We're not doing it because they were caring about their learning. They were doing it because they were being classist, right? And I will say this: I just saw a study that came out. It was an article. It was like a gotcha article. Like the people who are least satisfied with their jobs are humanities people, and that's why we need to go back to trade schools. But if you looked, the people who are second most dissatisfied with their schooling were trade school people, because their trade school did not actually teach them the things they wanted to. They were like, if you looked at the trade school satisfaction, very, very high dissatisfaction rating. And when you talk to them, they're like, I wish I'd gone to a school that taught me more, right? Because they were actually dissatisfied with the very narrowness of their trade school, and they thought that that's what they wanted, but then when they got through it, they're like, oh, actually, no, I actually needed stuff. So there's a lot of devaluing of humanity, is what I want to say. Yeah. Valtio says, the story about not teaching math to make factory workers happier outraged me so hard I opened my math YouTube videos to learn something new after a stream. Yes. Yeah. Axe says, a simple miscommunication because someone didn't know how to write effective communications resulted in an error of $25,000. That was this year, and our business partner was furious even though it was a result of their own email. Device says, that's a good point. A massive issue with academia is how least it feels from the outside, and that also applies between different fields. Like, some difference in language is required, but when people outside can't even understand what you're saying, you lose a lot of value of expertise. And people won't care about what you say because they don't understand it. And a broader education would probably help with that to some degree. Yeah, I have a friend, one of my colleagues is a science professor, and he actually does public lectures. He does a lot of work because he says he thinks it's really important in the modern day for people who are voters to have a basic understanding of science, because there's a lot of things that come up in our, like, people have to vote on stuff, and if they don't have a basic understanding of science, it's going to be like, it's not great for our democracy. DSB says, wait, okay, if you want just cool math things, look up the channel Vihart. Ooh, drop it in chat. Or bands that kick in before a woman would suspect pregnancy. Absolutely. Ice Bunny says, Trooper, one thing that made me grow a lot was working with the kids at the special needs school. My students showed me what a good life is and made me stop and reflect when one of the kids with Downs let me know that I was stupid because sometimes grown-ups are. And PH says, they made a little game about what happens when people prefer to live in either diverse or segregated communities. Do you see? Oh, I want to see that one. Somebody link it in our Discord. Somebody link it. Vector graphics sound neat. I always enjoyed fractals. Like, yeah, I want to get to know that better. Someone here will do Inktober. Have I heard of the book On Looking, A Walker's Guide to the Art of Observation? No. Drop the link in chat, in Discord. The author takes walks through a New York City neighborhood borough with various experts, including a dog and a child, as them point out what they are noticing about the world around. Oh, I want. Drop the link in chat in Discord, because I need to read. That seems so exciting. Okay. I believe we have gone through most of this room, because I noticed that Rissa was noting that we got things to do. Are we? I feel like we killed a lot of people and have not included. Maybe we have. I feel like we've not dilute everything systematically so that we can then sell it and have uh, the, um, I feel like we have been through this whole area. Yes. I mean, there are people we have to kill, but right. By the way, chat. This is important. It's important. I look. I know I get very passionate about these things, but I want people to have good lives, not just have good jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think that reducing people to just a labor cog is maybe not awesome, and that nobody needs to know anything other than what they need to do their job in a narrow way means that like people it just makes me very sad because those people probably have like really good ideas and that we'll never get to know because they're not being given space to explore and um okay, I will tell you. It's not like it's not a very huge thought. So actually, it's a small thought. It was about like a section about it. That's why I also like to play multiple RPGs. Because by playing multiple RPGs, I get to think about RPGs in different ways, and then it opens up my eyes, and I GM differently, and I play differently, and like it's a very transformative situation. Is what I'm trying to say to tie back to RPG. Um, the fact that those who want to destroy the system were poorly educated. Of computer science, I learned back wasn't useful. It's more about learning how to learn different languages rather than just some abs. Back. Yes, you were a teacher once. Oh, cool. A guide to happiness and satisfaction through education. Yes. I think I'd have done well as a teacher at Greendale Community College. Oh, I bet you would have. My dad, after he lost his job at Methodist College, went back to school for another career certificate and ended up teaching special needs. Teaching's really hard and really time heavy to do properly. This is true. You need a lot of like thoughtfulness. And really, teachers get the time and resources required to do it properly. It doesn't help that qualifying and testing for something as internal as knowledge is almost impossible. Not only does it cost a lot, but the results can't be properly measured, which makes teaching properly less valued. Yeah. And people try to measure, but you know what? I get a lot of, I get a sense that my teaching is effective. And if you want to know why, the reason is this.
Great work.
Not what happens in the classroom, but I regularly get students who reach out to me 2, 3, 4, 5 years after they've taken my classes, sometimes after they've graduated, saying, hey, I want you to know that I'm right now out now in the world doing X, Y, and Z. And I think about your class all the time. And I didn't realize how much it had taught me until I had a couple years to think back on it. And so sometimes it's not, can't know how much something has altered or impacted your life until you've had a little bit of time to get that, to back up and see it from a distance. And then you're like, oh, wow, that one class it's really important. I didn't realize it, and so sometimes it's really hard to measure how impactful something is going to be on your life just in that specific. If you know what I mean, and that's what's really hard, that there are things that may not seem like they were valuable and transformative right when you take them. Oh, DSB was talking about that, her math class. DSP took this math class and she's like, this is just really hard. And then later she's like, oh my gosh, this class was everything. And like, she didn't know it in 5th grade, but she found out later. And so like, sometimes it just takes a while for the thing to kick in, right? Yeah, that's it. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry. There you go. Sharing the game screen. Did it. Sharing it. There you go. Sharing the game screen. Sharing. Yes. Yes. Shared it. It's shared. I did talk about math. That was good. And then I am going
To think, I would once have been
to talk about RuneQuest before.
monstrosity.
I'm glad that Vicar Max is growing and changing. That's nice. I did not kill this person, by the way. Did not. A good life is not a good job, and a good job is not a good life, and a good life is, those are not the same thing. And I see your computer math right there. So we're losing words. I think the mic is kind of hit or miss. Is my mic coming in out? Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I'm playing this performance, maybe. True, and that's wonderful. Takes effort on the part to communicate that, and that's an indicator of itself. Yeah. We can never know what lessons will hit with students at just the exact moment it's needed. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I'm all caught up. Thank you, Roland. Yeah. And so I think that sometimes we just get too, we don't let things breathe, and that's not. Anyway, I just think it's valuable to let people learn. I'm all caught up. So, RuneQuest. I was going to submit my very first RuneQuest character and why RuneQuest was transformative to me. And it was. Javai says, yeah, I went through about half of teacher education before taking a break from it. And a massive issue with teaching is how we measure if students learn or not. Yeah. And how to avoid testing for other stuff instead of what they are meant to learn. Like how to make sure you test students on their understanding of historic processes and not just their ability to write an essay or memorize phrases from the class. Absolutely. And that's why a lot of the this is the problem with neoliberalism. We become very like you have to prove, like show with numbers this thing, right? You don't let things grow or shift, right? So we end up getting this testing culture that's about like outcomes. Like at the end of this class, you'll be able to write a paper with footnotes that do this or this. It's like, well, sure, I can test your footnote skills, but that's really not the most important thing. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you have to know how to do footnotes. Yeah, sure. But like, I kind of care about other things that you can't necessarily test that way. At least not like that. Some things are a bit more of an art than a science, or they're an artistic science, or you know what I mean. And if everything has to be justified in like a numbers way to be real, then it becomes very hard to do certain kinds of work that are just a little bit more different, right? Marissa says similar concerns about training adult students in and out of the workplace. Yeah. RuneQuest. Adjusted rotation speed on centrifuge AT3245, as per Dr. Ambrose's request. Hopefully, that should do a few more batches with each production cycle. Still a little short of quotas, but we're doing our best. Updated the access code to the synthesizer production routine. Reported it back to Dr. Ambrose. Dr. Ambrose recorded the access code in her journal, as always. Dr. Ambrose has a habit of writing everything down. It's unnerving. I never know when I'm being audited. All right. Okay. Hey, everybody, look. We're just like, basically, look. So, I feel like we've got to go through that back room. Great. We're just basically done. Woo! Anyhow, look. This is what happened. Went to RuneQuest. Had to make a RuneQuest character. And I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, let me look at this. And there were no classes in Quest. Service elevator to lobby. I feel like this is probably our way out. We're going to go to that. I'm going to go to her office and get the things we need because we are going to finish. We're like right here. We're so close. I'm so excited. Look how close we are. Oh, hey, look. Water cord. Oh, that must be from Dr. Ambrose's daughter that she does actually love, even though she cannot communicate it effectively. She did not learn good communication skills. Side note. I feel like I cannot hack this because I do not have a. After 2 weeks, last foremost education I got was training with Apple about 10 years ago. They were training us as iPhone customer service, but they didn't train us on the iPhone. They trained us how to use the internet or their personal simplified answers people. After, yeah. So, ooh, that excited. Check that out. We have decided that we don't care about alcohol, but we're going to sell it. So that's something. I said, I mean, testing is great, but you also need to think about why and how you test. Are you testing to qualify where you stand? Like for grades, which has its place, or are you testing in order to promote further learning based on where the student currently stands? How you test and how you share the result varies a lot based on the goal. Yeah. And yes. And have you thought like, yes. So when I had to make this character for this RuneQuest. I sit there and I'm like, oh, there are no classes in. Okay, so if there are no classes in RuneQuest at all, what do I want to be? What do I want to be? And I decided I wanted to be a blacksmith. So I decided I want to be a blacksmith, and then I thought, oh, I'll be a human blacksmith who's married to a dwarf. And I thought, this is a sort of space where I think a lot of dwarves are basically sort of a little bit of, like, they're oppressed miners. They work in mines, and those mines are unsafe. And so I think my character is going to be like an agitator for workplace safety, and who got in trouble for all their agitation, and then basically had to be, right, who basically had to leave their town because they got in trouble. And so for me, I was thinking, oh, this is a neat way of thinking about this character. That's a neat concept. I think I could do something cool with that. And so the reason why they were adventuring is because they were basically exiled from their town because they had caused too much trouble agitating for workers' rights. And they were young. They were sort of like young and a little bit idealistic, right? But this is a character that I never would have made in D&D, ever. Because D&D does not encourage you to think that way. Instead... Oh, gosh. Hold on. No. Admin functions. Hold on. Alert. Strike, panic, lockdown, engage. Place shelter in place with the workforce while the workforce special choice apologies, emotional damage. Okay. Hack 150. Cancel lockdown. I have the code. Okay. Success. Please. Okay. Please use caution when exiting the office. Agent profiteers may strike without warning. Okay. Return to route. Okay. We stop that problem. Messages. Sorry. Issue. Wow. Right. Incoming. Sorry. We got that taken care of. Okay. Displaying incoming messages null. You have cleared your messages. Congratulations, automated message when sent to your supervisor noting your idleness. New task will be dispatched momentarily. Remember, idle time demands a fine. Messages, outgoing messages. Okay, we've got some outgoing messages. This is our like high point, right? RuneQuest is, yes, RuneQuest is skill based. It's like Call of Cthulhu. I made a union activist, is what I did. There's an occupation for that in Call of Cthulhu. Yes, right. I made a union activist that got in trouble, right, and had to leave. Espany says, when I was a kid, the constant tests and exams freaked me out to the point that I could not show my smarts. And in Germany, you get graded exam after every lesson, and I got grades in second. Yeah. Idle time. This is Amazon. So for me, there was something so freeing, right, about RuneQuest's. Like, no, this is just, it's the same system as Call of Cthulhu. And playing Call of Cthulhu was like, oh, well, this is a modern game, cool, right? But playing a fantasy game where the paradigm was so different just really made me think about fantasy different, made me create different characters. It opened me up as a player, and then later as a GM, and also as a GM, because the system was different. And I will always appreciate RuneQuest for that. And then, of course, I found GURPS, and that continued on. But that moment of being able to sort of being given a different framework of looking at the world through the rule system, then following through with that, meaning that I ended up sort of creating a different kind of character that I would have. Because I didn't want to be a fighter. I wanted to be a blacksmith who could hit people with a hammer. But those are different concepts. I would have made a fighter differently than I made that blacksmith. And having that space through RuneQuest was really transformative. And to follow back to Tunnels and Trolls works differently than D&D. That combat is a collective, right? It is a collective thing. Changes how you conceive of what a combat is like and what you do in a combat. And I really appreciated being able to GM Tunnels and Trolls. I want to GM it again so I can get better at it. But it changes what happens in that game, you know? And yeah, there are classes. The classes are very their own thing, right? And so I really appreciate being able to learn different systems in that way. And I think, to go back to the last thing I wanted to say, which was OSR, one of the things that most upsets me about the old school Renaissance, personally, there are two things that upset me. One is they're like, D&D back in the day was like XYZ, and I was like, it was not like XYZ. Like like you are just making up things that are just not true. Like there's this big whole thing people will say, well, D&D back in the day, you just didn't have combat. Like you just avoided combat all the time because you got XP for gold, very little XP for monsters, and like it was deadly. So like back then, you just never ever fought things. And I was like that you just snuck around and I was like only rogues could sneak. No, that is not how D&D was. Like you are just lying. You were lying. That is just not true. And like I played, and look, I was a person that would have enjoyed that if that were the case. And every once in a while it would happen sometimes, but I played a lot because I moved. I went to 3 different high schools. I did stuff out. Like I played with a lot of different people. That is not how it was played. That is just not true. So there's like a real misrepresentation of what D&D was like back in the day that I find very frustrating about the OSR. And the other thing that I find very, very frustrating about the OSR, which really crystallized when I saw Stars Without Number. Stars Without Number is Traveler, but using the basic edition rule set. And Traveler is an old school game. If you really cared about the old school, then you might be interested in Tunnels and Trolls, and Warhammer Fantasy, and RuneQuest, and Traveler. There were other games besides D&D. And the problem I have, one of the things that irritates me about the old school Renaissance, is that they're not actually interested in the old school. They're interested in basic D&D. D&D Basic Expert by Mulvey and what's his face. They're not actually interested in exploring what was happening in the old school, because if they were, they'd be looking at other games. And instead, they just translate their interpretation of the old school onto any genre in any space. But they're not really they're not really engaging with old school D&D, and B, they're not really engaging with the old school, because if you actually engage with Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest, Tunnels and Trolls, Empire of the Petal Throne, all these games from that early moment, Traveler, you would be doing things differently. And so the thing that really frustrates me is that they're basically rewriting history, and they're erasing a bunch of people and a bunch of games and a bunch of realities in order to make arguments that they use then to say that they're better than indie gamers who do the same thing in reverse, and that's all very irritating all around. But like, it just erases a bunch of people, and that's just like, Tunnel Trolls is cool, RuneQuest is cool, these things are cool. Like we don't like, why just call yourself like basic D&D fans if you want to do, like BX D&D fans, like just be more accurate with your terminology. I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Makes me unhappy. Jenner Richard Mulcahy, Irish leader of independence, Irish War of Independence leader, political party, Fine Gael, leader of the government minister, nicknamed the Blacksmith of Ballycar. Nice, love that. And until today, I bake flour, recure remedies, not to go back to exams, freak out. I love the basic Roman system. I love its simplicity. Like, did I have a couple of like, what's the word? Nits to pick about the basic role-playing system? Sure. I find it's a little bit too punishing. I find that the way that they do percentile dice is a little too punishing, which is why actually I really like the 7th edition of Call of Cthulhu. I like the addition of advantage and disadvantage dice, which lets you do a little bit of probability manipulation. So like, if the situation is easier for you, you can just roll, but it's not a sure thing given. You can roll with advantage, and I do appreciate that very much. And that sort of like that's like fixed basically one of the only nitpicks I had. The only other nitpick I have is that it's hard to learn a new skill when you're starting at like a 3 or 4%, and like ways to mitigate that would be nice. And I think there probably are some. So like, those are my only. Otherwise, I really love the system. It's great. Will we be able to see this RuneQuest character on stream, or was it just for practice? Oh gosh, that RuneQuest character is from like 1988. I made that character like a long time ago. I'd have to recreate that character. And I don't think I could. They lived in it. Although Pip in Great Expectations is the more famous blacksmith. It's true. D&D was always kill the monsters and take their gold. And sometimes you try to find a way around it. But I mean, you got the gold by killing the monster. Rissa says, now I'm wondering how different it would be to do create Call of Cthulhu character generation without separating out professional skill points. Oh, and giving the PCs a single pool to spend from. That would be very interesting. Door is rather scary monster RPG. Just play Traveler. Holmes. No, it wasn't Holmes. You'd think it was Holmes, Max, but it's Moldvay and the other M. It's 2 M's. It's the ones who did not Holmes who did the first basic, but the next 2 basics, the ones they tend to be obsessed with. Moldvay and Um, it's two M's. Like, yeah. People using very limited and unfactual view of history to promote their current preferences. Gotta love it. There are ways to mitigate the hard to learn new skill. Yes. If you were trained by someone, at least 7th ed, it only takes time. Right. That's what I really like about 7th. I think 7th ed is sweet. It takes 3 months and you just get 1d10 the skill at the end of it. Yeah. There's also subjugation. So actually, I think that 7th ed, sweet. It makes me very happy. RPG game, but character classes are high school cliques. Sporting Jocks, Barbarian, League Club is one bard. Yeah. Holmes, Mensner. Thank you, Valtiel. Mensner and Mulvey are the ones they obsess about. If you read OSR message boards, it's like forever that over and over and over again. Weird to me. Speaking of which, is that AD&D First Edition is also old school, and in the very beginning of the old school Renaissance, some people were dealing with First Edition AD&D, but if you look at the current old school Renaissance or old school revival, no A&D First Edition almost at all. They're mostly basically obsessed with Moldvay and Mensner's basic and expert editions, and they don't even go past those two. They don't go to like Companion, Masters, Immortal. They don't. They just basically just the B and the X, just those two editions. They kind of basically mostly everything off of that, and I think it's weird. 5-minute warning. Okay. Yes, I do. I do remember that once. I love First Edition AD&D, first and second. Yeah. Yes. Okay. And I'm gonna read these, and then we're probably gonna head out. Low. We might have to go a little bit long because I need to read these messages, and then we'll come and find you, Max. So product. So we have to go back. Subject: toxic free rebranding. I want to say something about something. So change the fucking name, Lawrence. I don't care if the inbred simpletons at headquarters were just having a laugh. Customers don't know what it means. You may choose from the list of following acceptable alternatives: Absorbitol, Calamitax, Bindatron, Emetin, Emedicine. Cheers, Ollie. Okay. 2L, Goodfellow, subject radio documentary participation. From Lawrence, this is a waste of my time. The last thing my team needs is a fleet of gadflies descending on the labs and asking stupid questions. We're months behind as it is. However, because Lucien demanded it, I will consider the program's request if the following conditions are met. Lucien guarantees me the right to review and approve the recording. The journalists are confined to Gorgon for the duration of the project. It could be years. Make sure they understand that. If they leak the details of our work to the press, I will put a hit out on them myself. I know people, Lawrence. The journalists bunk in shipping and receiving. We can't have them fraternizing with the project staff outside of their scheduled interviews. These people are our enemies, not our friends. No one will be coming down with an acute case of friendship on my watch. My team will not be held responsible for the inevitable delays this tomfoolery will cause. The only individual who will be working overtime on this is you. Understood? Cheers, Ollie. Max Ryder, have a good one. Max Ryder. I have to remember things. Production schedule. I've seen the brand manager sniffing about, Lawrence. I know your department is gearing up for a big announcement, and mine is the only project on this fucking asteroid. Send me your intended production and release schedule immediately. Production schedule. The schedule you sent me must be a template or the work of an intern, because it's patently insane. We're nowhere near to hitting Lucien's proposed milestones. Branding's hopes and wishes won't magically change that, no matter what the corporate office says. My compound is months from viable, Lawrence. It kills people. If you'd like proof, you're welcome to try it yourself. I'll even show you where to stick it. I expect to see a revised schedule before the week is out. Gadflies in the lab sounds like the start of a romance me. Yeah. I was a journalist. You were a human testing subject we fell in love. You think you can hide from me, you little twerp? I know a serum that will make you feel as if you've lived 1,000 years in just 8 hours. How would you have to spend the night in waste processing? Cheers, Ollie. Sure. Let's go. Looks like our Ambrose was having feelings. Okay. We're gonna read these. Reading them. Frequency of testing updates. Marion, it's been 3 weeks. Where the fuck are the reports from HIA? Deliver them to me by the end of the day, or deliver me your letter of resignation. I'm done asking. In the future, she must have been really fun to have as a mom. You will send me bi-weekly reports of HIA status. These reports will include an inventory of test subjects, which version of the Gorgon compound they've been administered, how frequently those administrations have occurred, and who has been administering them. To these reports, you will append a mortality record. This record will include an accounting of the burn down rate of our current stock of volunteers and compound ampules, in addition to a thorough analysis of their injuries. I want to see charts, Mary. Big fucking charts with lots of precious little numbers. And before you ask, bi-weekly means twice a week. Don't pretend you don't know what I mean. We've seen the other half of some of these. Test subject status. Marion, I see now why you held back your reports. Strangulation? Attempted disemboweling? Blunt force trauma to the head with a bedpan? It's not just that volunteer deaths are up, but that the ways in which they're dying are appalling. This is unconscionable. An unmitigated disaster. Cease administration of the compound immediately. I'll take this to our liaison, Lucien. Surely when I show him these results, he'll understand that we can't take this product to market as it currently stands. Ollie. Condolences, etc. Marion, personalize and forward the following note to the families of the deceased volunteers. Take carbon copies to those and send those on to Lucien at the usual address. Make certain he gets every single one. We read that. We condolence. Marion, cancel all the letters. If they've been hand-delivered, send them someone to retrieve them. Secrecy trumps sentiment. Don't ever let me do anything so indulgent again. Everybody. To Jasper Lowe. Subject AT concern. Jasper, I dug into the volunteer data Marion sent over. You were right. The current formulation is resulting in alarming outcomes, even by Spacer's Choice standard. Priyantha and I performed a handful of autopsies on this week's deceased and made a few notable observations. In one case, that of a young man in his early 20s, we noted a degree of gray matter loss one would expect to see in a man of 70. His brain had also atrophied to a shocking extent, again, as one might expect in a much older man. In another case, that of a woman in middle age, the subject was no longer able to achieve natural sleep. After 11 consecutive days of wakefulness, she was no longer able to distinguish her violent hallucinations from reality. Yet even as she spiraled, she demanded additional injections. I was sure our last tweak would reduce the incidence of violence amongst the volunteer population. We might attempt to further refine the compound through partitioning, though I'm doubtful that will be efficacious. Violence aside, I'm growing increasingly concerned by the habit-forming nature of the compound. What do you think, Ollie? Sent to other. Okay. Monthly physicals high priority. The materials we work with are this is the chem lab, are dangerous and result in permanent injury, disfigurement. We read that one. She's telling all of her people that they've got to go to have. She's trying. It looks like this is employee termination. Herbert Saint Germain, effective immediately. Herbert Saint Germain is no longer an employee of Spacer's Choice's ER&D division. His body has been forwarded to the chemical waste dump for processing. Mr. Saint Germain was a saboteur sent by a rival firm to disrupt our vital efforts. It was only thanks to the swift reporting of one of your esteemed colleagues that Mr. Saint Germain was prevented from causing any significant damage to our facilities, intellectual property, or staff. I understand that Mr. Saint Germain was popular around the Gorgon campus for his genial and helpful demeanor. That's because he was a spy. If you encounter any similarly friendly staff, alert a member of the security team immediately. We are shifting all of Mr. Saint Germain's remaining tasks to other laboratory technicians. Finally, anyone caught visiting his grave or discussing his departure will be remanded to Spacer's Choice Human Resources Re-Education and Reallocation Department. Dr. Leguian. Yeah, being friendly is a crime. Yeah. Spacer's Choice habit forming isn't an issue. It's a perk. Yeah, I think we are... You know, we still have some updated security practices. Chem Lab. Pursuant to last week's incident, new security practices are now in effect. All lab personnel must tidy their workstations. We read that one. Return to other sentence. Subject, seize all recording. Oh, this seems cool. Seize all recordings. High priority. Bring them to me immediately, and for fuck's sake, don't let the journalists off the fucking asteroid. Okay. Let's look at these deleted messages, which I imagine we probably have not seen before. Received from Jasper Lowe. Maybe we have. Displaying all deleted messages from Jasper Lowe. Re-AT concern. Dr. Ambrose, these days I try to think as little as possible. Thinking is a dreadful habit, which leads to self-awareness, which leads to resignation. It's true that the current formulation is resulting in alarming outcomes, but not, I think, by SC standards. SC standards are low. You report 11 consecutive days of wakefulness, and SC sees 11 consecutive days of productivity. You report an inability to distinguish violent hallucinations from reality, and SC is going to try to push us to turn these hallucinations into phantom images of company logo. You say the compound is habit-forming, and SC is going to see an increase in demand for a never-ending supply of xenocyte waste. To be serious, yes. The compound is absolutely habit-forming. Addiction correlates with dosage, and dosage size is inversely proportional to enrichment quality. As long as corporate asks us to keep our dosage minimal and controlled, there's a reasonable chance we can improve the enrichment process to filter out some of the dangerous side effects. It's going to take time. A lot more than corporate realizes. Here's from Marion. Displaying, this terminal has not received any message from user Blakesley M in 2,447 days, so it turns out she didn't have anything to say, so it's great. Good fellow, Lucian. Radio documentary participation. Approved. Next time allow me to make this kind of announcement myself, Mr. Mosley. Hierarchy exists for a reason. Oh, this is Lawrence, not Lucian. He's still... Reproduction schedule. Dr. Ambrose, great timing. I was just sending Herbie over to your department with preliminary production schedule. As with so much of the work we do in OCI, the design of the production schedules are an art and a science. The timetables and milestones are less fractional obligation and more like aspirational cartography. Respectfully, Lawrence. Reproduction schedule. If you're receiving this message, I'm currently unavailable. In my absence, I have instructed my secretary, Herbert Harrell, to reply to any incoming messages with this pre-approved response. Vicariously, Lawrence. I don't know how you feel, but I feel bad about all of this. So we're going to exit the computer. I know that we're like on our way out of the stream. How long we look? We have streamed for a total of 3 hours, which is our normal stream time, which means because we had a slightly late stream, I might be able to just perhaps finish this room, you know, to be responsible, you know, just being a little. Okay, look, we're just gonna follow this path, and then we're gonna go, so that oh, that wasn't exciting. Just one. I think we're done. Yeah, we did it, everybody. We did do it. We did it. We did it. What I'm gonna do after this is I want to take a bike ride because I did not get my bike ride in on Thursday, unfortunately for me, and that makes me sad. So, so basically, I'm missing a date. And the lack of a date makes me very, very sad. So I want to get my bike ride in. It's gonna be just a short one. I'm not gonna get 3 rides in this week because I'm riding the Hadrian Wall, and that makes me less excited than I could be. Okay, this is like, how do we get to this place? Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. We're gonna do our best. We just have to turn the thing, and we're done with this. We are finishing this today. We're finishing it. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a bike ride, and then once I take the bike ride, I'm gonna do just a bunch of work. Let's see if I'm gonna try to catch up with stuff. I've got stuff to do. I've got some stream stuff that I have to do that's quite important. And once I do that stream stuff, then yeah, I've got some I'm so excited that it's a Saturday. I've got catch up to do, and I am excited about doing it. And I'm gonna use this Saturday to get so much work done. I'm so excited, and maybe I should not be that excited, but I do have make some grading done, and because gonna be good. But I'm gonna take it by. Oh, and maybe I'll make some granola. I should probably cook food. Yeah, I'm gonna. And I. Oh, sorry. I have to do dishes. I have to do dishes. I don't. Just. So, we just have to head out. This is it. We are. We're gonna finish this. Everybody, we're gonna finish this. How do you feel about that? I feel sort of scandalized. Also, I'm going to eat food right now because they're going to make me fight somebody right now at this moment. And since they're going to do that, and I know it, I'm going to just eat something before I walk out and also say, then I'm going to tell you the thing about it. I'm feeling like there's a sense of accomplishment here that I'm not talked about. He's supposed to give it back to Olivia Ambrose's daughter up on the satellite, right? Yes. So yeah, no, I'm gonna cook some. I'm gonna make some food. So I actually made some tuna casserole, and I still have some, so that's really good. But I want to make like I think I've got maybe four tuna casseroles left. So I have a question. We still have this problem. And there's one. This shop is now closed. Yeah, so I may not make dinner like another round of dinner tonight, but I might make granola for breakfast. So then I'll basically have now. Like I try to stagger how much I cook, but I have to tell you what, I got way too much in the dishes. Yeah, I've got just this DLC. We're going to finish this. The end of the Outer Worlds is where we feel. Yeah, but like I'm just saying, we're going to finish this DLC. So all we have to do is turn in these recordings to Marion Ambrose. But here's the thing, just the thing that I want to say, and that is the one thing I want to see. So we need to get here, which is, let me go to the journal for a second, because I really feel like find the clue at the Synthesis and Manufacturing Observatory. I do not know how to get into that building some other way. So while we're here, I'm just going to take a look once inside the building to see if there's a way to get to the observatory. That is the one thing I'm going to do. And then we're going to head back out for one last time so we can get to that observatory. Actually, will somebody do me a favor? Will somebody go onto the internet and look up how to get to the SMC observatory in the Outer Worlds? Because we have tried multiple times. And we have not yet been successful at this. So the question is, can we find... I suspect that maybe we will find our way to the observatory through this building. Because I've not been able to find a way there outside of this building. Except that I'm not seeing it, and this building does not look big enough. I'm not seeing like secret tunnels, anything like that. So I think we probably just go outside. Check around the execute. Have I tried overnight oats? I have done overnight oats. I've done it before with like chia seeds and all that stuff. But I do like a. There's a path that's easy to miss. But it's outside, right? It's outside? Outside. Okay. We're going to fix this because I'm... Right. Issue 1 is located at Maurice's research site at the SMC Observatory. It can be accessed by going to the OCI upper exterior and heading south between the buildings, then turning west to go through a trap-filled tunnel to the research site. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see if we can find this. We're going to this is the OCI lower exterior, OCI upper exterior. Okay, we've got to get into a really quick little fight. Don't mind. Secret tunnel. gonna just do a real quick gun battle, because that is going to be our life right now. We're gonna shoot this person in the head, and then we're going to switch weapons. And I would like my friends to maybe, you know, use. I would like my friends to perhaps use their special abilities. These people are no good. These people are just not good at all. Why don't you use your special abilities? Are they like close range or something? Is there a reason why you're not using them and making my life miserable? And could you explain to me what that reason might be? Because I would like to know what that could possibly be. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a bike ride, and I'm doing the Conquerors Challenge, wherein you also are doing a virtual, like it tracks my miles, and I'm going along the Hadrian's Wall, which is 90 miles. I've got like 6 weeks to ride 90 miles total, which I don't think would be that bad if I can actually get my rides in. Shouldn't It's like 15 miles a week, which I think I can actually. I think I'm fine, but I actually, as long as I can get the rides in, I don't think the distance will be a problem. I just think finding the time to I got a lot. Finding the time um, to do the rides, because I really want to ride 3 times. Okay, we're gonna do this, everybody. All of us together. I have tried, but I'm not near hostilities. There are no hostiles near me. Oh, okay, there is one. Sorry, pardon. There's one hostile. We're gonna just take care of that. Excuse me. Ooh, there are 2 hostiles. Oh, you weren't even a hostile. You cannot escape me. Hi, how are you? Friends, can you use your powers? For heaven's sakes. I don't like them. They never use their powers when I ask them to, which I find just super rude. They're not my friend. We're gonna not take them with us anymore. My other friends, Krellin was right about who my friends are. Krellin's just right about that. This is just a true statement. I like Nyoka LA way better than these two. Way better. Way better. Okay. So, last thing. Y'all, we're going to try to keep that up. The last thing was that I really. So, Rissa and I were in a GURPS game, Transhuman Space. And GURPS is also a point based system, right? So, it's not classable based. And the kinds of characters we created were okay, y'all. Issue 1 is located at Morris's research site. It can be accessed by going to the Osea upper exterior, heading south. Okay. We're going to head south. We're doing this. Wrapped it up. Heading south between the buildings. Okay. And going through a trap-filled tunnel up to the research site. Turning west. Okay, I think I see the tunnel right there. I think that's it. So we are going to go and fix this thing because we need to. We also are just going to shoot that. And hi. Oh, hey, Kanid. Everybody use your special powers. All of y'all. Yeah, I probably should have saved, but then what happened with my life? What happened to your leg? Are you okay? Relax. Hey, we're back. Also, for the record, these are not great people to hang out with on a mission. I don't like their attitude. Their lack of their special powers when I ask them to. So, okay, this is a tunnel, and maybe it will be a trap-filled tunnel, and maybe this is the one we're looking for. Yes. Hey, look, it's a trap-filled tunnel, everybody. So we're gonna. Oh, I hope y'all are okay. I'm gonna be shooting these traps, so get ready for it. Yes. Oh, save. Yes, thank you. Save. Yep. Yep, save. Just gonna also repair everything. And save. Y'all, I want you to know that it is happening right now. It is happening. We're gonna finish Gorgon. We've been in Gorgon for a while, and we're gonna finish it. And we're gonna finish it in the next 15. That is the wishful thinking. But I feel like a little bit of wishful thinking is never a bad thing. That doesn't do anything interesting, but that will. Tunnel of Love, and by love they mean her. I hope you all enjoyed the Tunnels and Trolls game, because I really, really did. I enjoyed the system. I loved the players. I loved how they were a good crew. I was like, yeah. These people are working together very well. I love their vibe. I would definitely play more with them because they, and I really appreciated that experience. And I'm very excited to return to RuneQuest on Friday for going solo. And so, like, it's good times. Did they go off the path? They did not go off the path, although I tried.
This is downright unneighborly.
They did open the bag when they got to the place where they were supposed to go inside the dungeon. Did they complete the entire dungeon? No, but they got the biggest. They got like a honkin' super heavy, which was going to be really hard for them to carry out, but that'll be fine. But they got, there were things, there were still mysteries to learn in that dungeon. But that's sort of one of those moments where they're like, we got to step out, But they got scared because it can be that can be a very. They also, like, people were dying. People would have died. It would have been all the death all the time. Like, it would have been all the so bad. Hey, we got a bunch of beans, which is good because we need to eat food because we're apparently addicted to food. I keep missing Heptonshire Moors because work, and I'm glad you're able to chip. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Now we're done. Hexenshire Moors is done, which is like, although they all expressed their enjoyment of the system and how they would be very happy to play more Good Society, which, those things may indeed happen. I was happy to explore the Emmy Forget Me Not expansion, and there's some others.
Call them marauders, like they have some kind of group identity. They don't. The name was coined in Edgewater, I think. One of the towns first hit by the Adrenatime crisis. A lonely Spacer's Choice outpost on the edge of a barren sea. A prime place for the company to test a disastrous new product.
Bad.
When the town started fraying at the edges, hardly anyone else in the colony noticed. Just like Lucian planned.
This is bad.
I read the reports.
This is bad.
Every missing person. Every unexpected death. A town already teetering on the edge, and Adrenatime shoved it off a cliff.
I think it's just very, very quiet. Hold on, let me up the sound. Let me up the sound. That's bad.
When does man become marauder? People talk about them as if they've transformed, like they've mutated. I see it in the Aetherwave broadcasts, read it in the papers. But beneath their masks, they're only people. Dangerous people with a terrible illness, but people still. When we call a man a marauder, have we given up on him? How do we know when he's become one? How can you decide to give up on someone? Have I given up on Harvey? Who does this suffering serve, I wonder? Spacer's Choice?
We're going to make sure that her daughter gets those recordings, right? These clearly were not actually even the mission brief, because there's not a technical mission for this one, but I'm going to, in my mind, we're going to make sure that she gets this, because I feel like she should learn that about her mom. You know, I feel like that's that she should do. I also oof. Now, oftentimes the Marauders are trying to shoot me. Who ate my lunch? I feel like maybe this person is Harvey. Right? Could that be the case?
I envy whoever had this post. Gazing at the stars through a telescope is quite a peaceful endeavor.
Maurice's research site. Y'all got feelings and thoughts. Also, I don't know if you know this, but we're gonna complete the mission in the next minutes. It's gonna be so good. And then here's the best part: when I go and I write the summary of today's session for the VOD, I can say that we completed the whole DLC, and then people will think like, "Wow, how quick and swift Trooper is when he plays RPG video games. Wow, he's just so fast." I like how yours like complete the mission. Yep. It's cool. It's cool. And look, and completionist. We're gonna have completed everything here in Gorgon. Everything, and nothing left unlooted. Boom! Yes, quick. Like, I feel like, you know what? I feel like maybe after this triumph, maybe I should become a speed through. Is that what they call them? Speedster, speed walkthrough, speedster. Like, this could be like my next speedster, speed walkthrough. Have to go. Thank you, Lone Coup. We're walking out right now. We're just getting our chips and Speedrunner. That's what it is. Yeah, totally. Speedrunner. Speed running with Trooper. Oh my gosh. That would be so good. People would be mad. Not you all. You would know. You would all know. We're like, we're going to do a speedrun of X. You would all know what that means. But people who are like there for a speedrun would be so upset because, you know, speed reader? I think people who watch you thinking you're fast at completing beamers might be disappointed. Yes. That's what Saturday seems to be called. Speedrun Saturdays. I find that perversely humorous. Eustace Kim's datapad. Maurice, I have made my peace with the chemical waste pit. It is where I belong, I think, with the refuse and the dregs. The surface is distant to me, distant as the cold stars, as distant as you are, and the rest of them. How do you fare, Maurice? Up on your vaunted perch, when the shadow of the manufactory crown falls on you in your fine telescope, do you think of me down here in the dark? Any of you? My isolation has borne fruit. Propane, butane, ethane. These wild gases visit me in my dreams. Shift, more, press and expand. Gas now, then liquid, then gas again. They whisper. The trick of their metamorphosis. I have bottled it as they want. Come down from the shadow of the manufactory, Maurice, down to the ravine, and they will teach you the trick. Let us at last complete the package that I might finally send. All glory to the PET, Eustace. Oh, well. More like mall walking with Trooper. We've decided we do not approve of alcohol, but do approve of selling it. Trooper SJP's encumbrance excuse number 427. I might not be over encumbered right now. That's amazing, TL. Yes, Trooper embraces the speed of sloth. There's nothing wrong with it. No thing wrong. We need the cred. We do. Now Trooper goes at the speed of a squirrel, also in the same direction at once. Yeah. Mall walk Mondays. The Exhilarating Adventures of Archibald Excelsior, Ace Exterminator, and the Plague of the Mantimen, issue 104. A comic from the cult classic Ace Exterminator series tragically cancelled after its brief 4-issue run. Scribbled in felt tip on the comic's spine is the word speak. In the inaugural issue, newly minted hero Archibald Excelsior is dispatched to the cloud cities of Olympus to put down a plague of ravenous mantimen intent on taking the cities for their own. Manti Mastermind pits his second-in-command, the renowned Spindle Knight Sysax Sassafras, upon Excelsior in hand-to-claw combat. Just when Excelsior appears to have battle-bested his insectile foe with the help of his handy PET, his eye is caught by Isabella, femme fatale, Manti Mastermind's dancing queen. Will our mustachioed hero survive his brush with the Spindle Knight? And with love? Yes, we have done that. So, we have to unlock the secret society hideout, everybody. We have one last thing to do before we can go. That's fine. We should save. We're gonna just do that. It's good. It's good. Oh man. Hey everybody, this has been a really good day. I know I've been very passionate today. So I'm talking about giving people knowledge, and that makes me very passionate. But I just want you to know that I'm feeling like this is a good day. Also, let's go to where are we? We are. This is where we need to go. But also, I think we're there. So we just need to go 110 meters, which is probably back down this tunnel, right? Yeah, we got this. Long dark on tundral Thursdays. Yeah, we'll do it this way. One last thing. But wait, there's more. Eat a food. Yeah, I'm gonna eat a food once I get into a more, it's a very good thing to be passionate about. To be fair, yeah, because I just want internet. Really, what I want in my life. I want things to be okay for me. Also, it's okay. It's okay. We're just over there. We're just gonna head right over there, and it'll be great. And right, cross the bridge. This is us. This is us, y'all. This is us. Trooper, I can guarantee you this is not the last thing, but this is like a little this is a side mission. So this will take care of, and we just fly up to Marion, right? And then I know what you're saying. Jer, I know what you're saying. Jer, I know what you're saying. What you're telling me is that when we go up to Marion to give her all those recordings, it's going to be like a whole situation. This is what you're telling me. And when you say it's going to be a whole situation, you're saying that because we don't know who that mysterious cloaked figure is, and that's going to happen. True fan asked for. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. We have to do a quiz. Yeah, okay. We're going to do the quiz, go to our ship, end it for today. Actually, finish talk. Okay. One final task awaits thee, fair traveler. You must complete a test to prove your bona fides, but worry not, it should be for a true fan of Archibald Excelsior. That might be a problem. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. This will be we're gonna do this, go back to our ship, and then we're gonna call it. I don't have 150 in hack. That's my problem. So let's look at we need, where would this be? This would be in our journal, probably. Gorgon audio logs. We want the these are not audio logs. Let's go with we need exploration, combat self. Let's go logs maybe. Comic books. So here we go. All right, I'm gonna read all of these out loud so that we all know what we need to know, right? We're gonna read the 4 of them, and we're gonna take the quiz, go in there, loot whatever we gotta loot, go back to our ship, call it for the day. That's our thing. That's it. Okay. Remember what we say. In the inaugural issue, newly minted hero Archibald Excelsior is dispatched to the cloud cities of Olympus, remember that, put down a plague of ravenous mantimen intent on taking the cities for their own. Manti Mastermind pits his second-in-command, renowned Spindle Knight Sysak Sassafras against Excelsior in hand-to-claw combat. By the way, I was a spy. I did analysis. This is the kind of thing I would do all the time. We would get messages. We wouldn't know what was important. So you have to sort of like suss out what you would think would most likely be important, take notes on it, put to the side. So, Spindle Knight Sysak Sassafras first. But then, just when Excelsior appears to have bested his insectile foe, with the help of his handy PET's his sidekick, his eyes caught by Isabella Femme Fatale, Anti-Mastermind's dancing queen. Will a mustachioed hero survive his brush with the Spindle Knight and with love? He has a mustache. Okay. Note these things. I wish I had room for comic books again. We're looking forward to... Oh, I have some comic books. Okay, here we have number 2. After his run-in with the dancing queen, proven hero Archibald Excelsior is mending his broken heart in the glitzy city of Fairview. Cloud City, Olympus, glitzy city, Fairview. When a horde of vicious crystal canids escape from the laboratory of an evil unemployed scientist. As the canids turn the city to ash with their plasma beam eyes, Excelsior descends into the depths of the lab to put down their leader of the pack, King Alpha. The king, connives to sabotage Excelsior's trusty pet, and our heroes forced to fight with the only weapon in reach, the skull of King Alpha's own mother, Empress Crystalline Alpha. Will our mustachioed hero escape the king's jaws and heal his wounded heart? Okay. Remember that. You have to be true fans. Okay, issue 3. After pacifying the canid threat, rejuvenated hero Archibald Excelsior is deployed to the subterranean metropolis of Hephaestus. Hephaestus next, subterranean. To quell the rise of supervillainous a cappella band, the Sprat Pack, when a new foe arrives to stop him. Okay. Buff Hardman, acquisition agent of Super Dark Reclamations, will stop at nothing to acquire Hephaestus Mining's productive corporate enclave for a shadowy shipping concern. When Excelsior interferes with Hardman's plans to mind control the Sprat Pack, Hardman turns his dastardly mind control ray on Excelsior. Will our mustachioed hero free his mind from Hardman's power with his newly healed heart intact? I'm glad his heart is healed. That's nice. Okay. All right. That's over in Reclamation, right? That's Buff Hardman works there. Hephaestus. Okay. 4. After narrowly escaping the clutches of the nefarious Agent Buff Hardman, Rat Pack Acapella, wounded hero Archibald Excelsior has a heart in turmoil, a broken pet, and no time to rest, because an ancient colossus slumbering beneath the crust of the prison planet Tartarus arises and hungers for the flesh of thousands. As the Colossus lays... I was just thinking about something. Greek mythology. As the Colossus lays waste to the maximum security penitentiary, Excelsior's nemesis, Hardman, returns to haunt him. Now, Excelsior must face down 2 devilish foes at once, as lava encroaches on all sides. Excelsior's odds look grim, until a chance lightning strike ignites the pet and gives the Ace Exterminator a fighting chance. Will our mustachioed hero slay the giant and finally mend his broken heart? Okay. Yeah, they're secret ability to beatboxing. So, Buff Hardman, who's our big bad guy here. We have a Colossus, right? The Colossus, yeah. Okay, so, just for the record, you should just know it. It is speak, friend, and enter. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna say. Because I don't know what's gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if we die? It's really unclear. We're going to our ship after, and then we're gonna... This is our life. Oh, throw a sprat to catch a red herring. Show Tobbits. Here we go, everybody. I should eat. Now I should... Eat food. Give me some food. I need food. I need, here's a... I don't want health regeneration right now. I just want to increase my base health. What is this? This is a fast ration pill. No, that's not it. Bread noodles. No, not interesting. Here is some Force beams. Here we go. We're in it. We're in it. We're in it to win it. Okay. True fan. Did it. Fan quiz. Are we ready? In issue 1 of The Plague of the Mantamen, what was the name of the Manta Mastermind's second in command whom Archibald defeated in hand-to-claw combat? Oh, that would be Sissak Sassafras, Spindle Knight of Olympus. Question 2 of 4. In issue 2, Attack of the Crystal Canids, what improvised weapon did our illustrious leader, Archibald Excelsior, use to exterminate King Alpha? Oh, the skull of King Alpha's own mother! Not a hairpin belonging to his adoptive daughter, Virginia Yang, girl detective. Nope. Question 3. In issue 3, Invasion of the Flesh-Eating Sprats, Agent Buff Hardman foiled Archibald's heroic plan to liberate the underground metropolis of Hephaestus from the Sprat Pack by doing what? Oh, by tricking Archibald with his dastardly mind control ray, not slapping the Sprat Pack in Auntie Cleo's skin-hardened metallysis gel. Not that one. We always like the joke answer. Question 4 of 4. Issue 4. The Colossus meets the Tartarus. How did Archibald ignite his signature weapon, the Pet, and put the titular giant down for good? With his last spacer's Corona cigarette? The muzzle flash of his pistol, the vermin? Nope. With a bolt of lightning from above. Absolutely. Correct. Alert. The passage is unbarred. Sorry, it's not that voice. Enter as a brother or sister, for you are now certified genuine super science sidekick. Congratulations. Sweet. All Buff Harbor can do was, like, squat. We're gonna go in there. And we're gonna get all the stuff.
Nice hideout those researchers had.
Yeah. And you know what this hideout says to me? Loot. That's what it says to me. It says loot. And in case you are wondering, I'm going to loot all of this. And I'm going to note, I'm still not over-encumbered. Is it because I buff my encumbrance hardcore whenever I play games like this? Yes. But, nonetheless, ooh, look at this. It's the pet. Ooh. Ooh, I just earned a special trophy. I feel so special. I feel like we're going to take all this alcohol, which drinking is really not fun for us, but we can sell for money. Sort of money. We're sort of poor. Because we're a bartender and a hacker. A rebel. Also, those cigarettes are also bad for your health, but we'll sell them too. We will just sell them for money. And to get them out of the streets so that children don't find them. Because children don't need to find, like, alcohol and cigarettes, so we're really doing the society a favor by picking these things up. I mean, I think that's pretty... It's not about hoarding. Yep. Hey, Vicar. Oh, you didn't come in with me? Weird. Okay, cool. Everybody, officially, we are going to go to our ship. And, this is, yeah, this is it. We just, have to go to Mini to receive our reward, but I technically currently am over-encumbered by 1. And we're gonna, I think we'll probably repair all of our equipped things. And still, it's fine. We're gonna go to our ship. I'm gonna break down. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Don't even worry about it. We will not be over-encumbered once we finish being at our ship. It's just a thing. We're going, everybody. This is it. We're going. Oh, wait. Look at the artwork. There's Archibald Excelsior and the Plague of the Mantamen, and the Attack of the Crystal Canids, and the Man-Eating Sprats, and the Colossus. Like, that art is gorgeous, everybody. The art's gorgeous, and he's got lovely, lovely sideburns. I feel like that is an important thing. Right? Did I? Basically, that it was like, that it was a lovely campaign that lasted 2 years, and one of the things that made that campaign work the way that it needed to work was that, again, it was not class and level based, so we could make characters that were sort of just interesting concepts rather than archetypes, you know? And every person was like a very sort of interesting and individual sort of person with a lot of complexities and depth that was all sort of represented on the character sheet in ways that it's very, like, I find systems like that make me make characters differently, and I appreciate that. That was basic. Yes. Yeah, that was awesome art. We sell them off the streets by inviting the children indoors to sell alcohol and cigarettes to them. Yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna be working on. I've got like overlay stuff to do. I've got to try to figure out how I can get the list of events through Stream Elements, because I know there's a way to do it. I'm gonna work it out. I'm gonna take my bike ride. I'm gonna make some granola. I'm gonna eat some food. I'm gonna eat some tuna casserole. I have to do dishes, which I don't really want to do. Oh wait, hold on. This is important. I want you all to officially see where I leave the game, so that you know that I'm not cheating. Right. So there. This is where we're leaving. There. Okay. So, and let me over. Yeah. So that was really lovely, and I just want to say, for the record, what a lovely, lovely stream this has been. I have enjoyed this very, very much, and I know we did a little bit over, but thank you. I'm going to go. I'm going to eat some food, wash dishes, which I don't want to do, take a bike ride, do all that good stuff that one does, and then I will catch you on the flip side. Here's what I'm telling you. Yes, sorry. What is my life? Today's Saturday. Tomorrow, you can find me. It's the outro stuff. Tomorrow, you can find me at 8 p.m. over at Praxagor the Smorforious channel for Witcher Roads Home, where I'm playing a character named Mathvar Wren, because Yanto is currently hanging out on a farm. Hey, I rolled it. And then you can find me on Monday at 8:30 over at Wandering DM's channel for Montreal by Night, where I'm going to be murdering some people, most likely. I mean, unless I roll terribly. And then you can find me next Thursday for The Long Dark on my channel, 6 p.m. Eastern. And then Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern here for Foxhole Fridays. Tales from the Foxhole will be going solo RuneQuest to continue our September exploration of the first decade of RPGs. And that is going to be our love. Find me at SuperSJP on YouTube, here, Academic Foxhole on Twitter, and also Patreon. The Patreon goes to support the cast. And because I've upped their pay, just decided we're going to pay them $50 an episode. So that's that. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the great conversation. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye, everybody.